Hello, everyone. Welcome to FMA Talk Martial Chronicles. I'm your host, Tim Hartman, and this is my co-host.
Hi, buddy.
And we are here to entertain you. So, right off the bat, I want to thank our sponsors, Vulpes Blades, which, by the way, will be on the show Monday next week. And it may be a solo act for me. It depends on... Well, we're going to be talking about what's going on over the weekend, which may get in the way of some of the show here. Also want to thank our other sponsors of the Martial Art University and the Modern Arnis 65th Anniversary Camp. Please, as always, everyone, if you can do us a favor, like the channel or subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hit that notification button. And feel free to share this wherever you feel is appropriate. So, Mr. Ty, what have you done this weekend? Anything cool?
I didn't do a darn thing this week. Oh, no, I did. I put together a new 3D printer for my kids.
Nice. Yeah, I'm doing my prep work for those who don't know anything about Buffalo winters. I got to prep a lot of stuff to be ready for said Buffalo winter, i.e. clear out the garage, get the snowblower out, store the lawnmower. And for those who haven't seen my garage, it is a monument to rattan at the moment. And somehow I have to fit at least one Mustang in there, possibly two. I don't think the latter is going to be happening.
That would be tough, yeah.
But I made a lot of headway yesterday and today. Although, as I was telling Ty earlier, my van, of course, I'm driving around and I'm supposed to be doing something and the light pops on. So before we start, I want to let everyone know that if you have an opportunity, this weekend is Grandmaster Bobby Taboada's training camp. And hello, Mr. Wolf.
Hey, Sam.
And the two of us are going to be there. So we're going to train. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
We'll be getting there on Thursday sometime.
Thursday evening, dinner time-ish, or earlier.
Yeah. And then, we'll do the weekend, although testing, we're going to be heading out early. Here's a cool thing about this weekend. Daylight savings time, baby.
I always forget about that.
Yeah, well, I gotta hustle back, and then we got to take the Equinox in because when I dropped it off at the shop and they were fixing it, they backed into it. And now they have to do body work, or someone else has to. So, Mr. Larry, hello.
Hey, Larry.
So, before we do any other talking, what I want to talk about here is, for those who didn't know, today is the 11th anniversary of the passing of the late GGM Ernesto Amador Praces. Let me just do this one moment because, I can never do what I need to be done. So, I want to just do a little, just a little moment, just remembering the man. He's don't have many photos of him, unfortunately. But I met Ernesto, I think it was 98, 99. And it was, I've always known one brother, and I wanted to meet the whole family. And I got that good fortune. And I just wanted to, just take a moment and just let us all take a moment and just in thought and think about that, think about him. We've lost so many people over the years, and it's and it's not getting any better, and it's a shame, but so yeah, we will get on with the show. But I like mentioning that. Usually I try to do something and put a little post up about it, and I haven't. Life's been so chaotic and complicated lately. Go figure.
I think any way people remember people like that is always good, right? So this year, this is what you did. Good.
Yeah, last year I did nothing. Last year was the 10-year anniversary. I think I completely dropped the ball. So
Not as bad as me. I never met the man, unfortunately.
yeah. Buffalo winters, it's like a Canadian winter except shorter.
There you go.
So yeah, we get a lot more snow. I mean,
The lake effect, yeah.
So okay, for those who don't know anything about Buffalo, let me just give you a little something. We have this thing called lake effect snow, and what happens is the moisture gets sucked out of the lake, and it usually goes in about 10 miles and then drops in massive quantities. You know what's 10 miles away from the lake? My school and my house. We've literally had 8 feet of snow in a 24-hour period. I've had 6 feet on multiple occasions, and then 8 feet another time. And I sent pictures, and of course, people don't understand. I didn't understand this either. The way they measure doesn't mean of how much snow is actually piled up. It's about the amount of precipitation. Right. So I remember Dieter watching it. Well, if it's 8 feet of snow, how come I can see your car? Because snow compacts.
Right.
And it melts too after time. Yep. That was, and we're going to talk about that on one of the future shows too. It'll tie into something else that was going on. And here we go. Appreciate you both. Buffalo snow is no joke. Thank you, Tish. She's been there. But we do. We just, Jimmy Griffin was our mayor back when I was a kid, or Buffalo mayor when I was a kid. We had the blizzard of 77, I think it was. And like, hey, grab a 6-pack, stay off the road, let us do our job. I'm like, okay, there you go.
That works.
Yeah. So, so before we get into today's show, not a rant. I'm not having a rant today. But I want to talk last week's show about student, teacher, master, grandmaster. My God, the quantity of good feedback I've been getting through the week has been amazing. I think it's been one of our best attended shows. I mean, that should have been an hour and a half show. It was 3 hours long because of engagement from our audience. That was amazing.
Yep. Oh, that was good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I don't think it was like, geez, Louise, am I ever getting out of here? Nope. That's okay.
Well, it's about that interaction. I think that's the best part.
By all means, it had to be our best show, I think, when it comes to that kind of stuff. Cool. But I do want to, for those who didn't watch it, like I said, we talked about the 4 levels of martial arts. You're a student, you're a teacher, you're a master, you're a grandmaster. And it's not a black and white situation. I'm just going to nutshell this real quick. There's a lot of things you need to do at all these different levels. But when you train, when you're a student, you train. When you're a teacher, you produce students. What does a master do? Produces teachers. What does the grandmaster do? They produce masters. It's more than just that. And we've talked about this quite a lot there. Hello. And Frank as well.
Hey, Frank.
So, but if you're going to be and we talked about a few things here, and like if you're going to be a grandmaster, or to be the grandmaster, not if you're going to be one. It sounds right. I choose to be the grandmaster. It's like I choose you, Pikachu. It's like one of those moments. There are a lot of things that you need to do, like spreading the art, leading, getting involved in the community, and or what are a few things that you like to see there, Ty?
Those are some ones, but also I think the grandmaster in my mind, and remember we talked about that last time, was a grandmaster versus the grandmaster. I'm of the latter camp where it's is the ones that I think of. But anyway, I'm looking at somebody who's steering the vision for the style, right? So that's one person usually, or one in the area. That's that's the way I think of it. But again, I warned everybody I was old school from my kung fu background, and also from example of Remy.
Well, and we did talk about this being in relationship to modern,
Mhm.
and inside of modern, you know, by professors' protocols, there is only one grandmaster. Hello, Jessica.
Hey,
There was
I know her.
Yep, I know you know her. There was only one GM, and as far as I'm concerned, that slot is still vacant. And we're not going to get into all that. That's what last week's show was. It was a great discussion on this, and part of the things that got me swung up on this also was the fact that everybody and their brother was being, oh, fine. She says hello to you, but not me. Great. Thanks, Jessica.
All right.
Oh, geez. Did you buy the two of them lunch?
Yeah, we would have had a good visit
That's
for
why
a few hours. Yeah.
as soon as I buy them a meal, then they'll start remembering me. I get it. Okay. See how it is.
They'll take you up that on that. I hope.
I wasn't supposed to say that out loud. Next thing, now I'm going to get stuck. I'm going to have no choice in the matter.
That's right.
But and she, of course, there she goes. Yes. There's a lot of things that you do. And like I said, now it's just becoming an automatic thing, a certain rank. And, if you're not producing students, if you're not producing black belts, if you're not producing teachers, and more importantly, if you're not producing masters, this should not be an automatic thing. It shouldn't be, I will become this belt level and you are now the grandmaster. Now, I understand that some arts have that protocol, but modern Ernie's didn't. And that's where I have the issue. If this, okay, in Kombatan, 8th and 9th were grandmaster, 10th is GGM. Or, yep, been there, done that, been part of that. But that's not modern. Definitely watch the show because we talk a lot about that. And, I think a lot of people, my issue as of late is people claiming that they're swinging Remy's ban around, but they're doing everything Kombatan. Curriculum and protocol. So,
No, we also talked about, all of this, all the four kind of groupings, if you will, levels of them, but also for Grandmaster, I'm thinking not only steering for the style, but also ensuring that next generation, that having that Grandmaster is one of the ways people guarantee that. We can have an inheritor, a successor. They have that vision that singularly drives and unites.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah. No, but that was good. I think if you guys get a chance to watch the show, I know it's a long listen if you haven't already, but definitely tune into it and play it in the background, listen to some things, do it in a few pieces so you don't overload yourself.
I was just going to tell them to get in horse riding stance and then stay there until it's done.
Okay, we can do that. Do your horse stance while you're doing that. I will say this: that probably doesn't show the posts probably don't do any justice on or the views on the show because most of it's done through Facebook and it doesn't show up on our YouTube channels. But definitely, and here's the other one. I had another good. I get feedback from all the shows. I got to talk to Mukesh because as we had our meeting the other day, we had people who were saying, "I want to meet this guy now." Mm-hmm. So for those who are thinking about getting your name out there, you might want to think about reaching out to us and being part of the show if you got something to bring to the table, because this is a great way for people to find out about you. There's a lot of people that are still out there chipping away at it, and you don't know anything about them.
Right. And it doesn't matter if they're independents or part of any organization or whatever.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So this show is actually all about my rant.
That's right.
If you really think about it. So
kind of.
This show is about, are you teaching the police or just teach police? But really it is whether you're intentionally or unintentionally playing the wordsmith game. Words matter. We're all allowed our opinion, but we're not allowed our own truth. There's only one truth. So what do I mean by do you teach the police? Ty, do you teach the police?
I help.
So when someone says they teach the police, what do you envision in general? I mean, for you, like before you knew any about the inner workings of things, when someone said, "Yeah, I teach law enforcement," what do you go with?
I think the tacit assumption there is if you say that, the tacit assumption is, oh, you mean institutionally, right?
Teaching at an academy or something,
right? Or part of a established program,
right?
Yeah.
You are part of a certified program that is teaching law enforcement officers,
right?
That's the knee jerk, you think?
I think that is a knee jerk. I mean, there's a whole spectrum there, and we'll get into that, and I'll tell you, how I got into things.
So please, here's the question for everybody.
Yep.
If someone tells you they teach law enforcement, in the comments below, please chime in and tell us what you think.
Yeah.
What does teaching the police mean to you? Does that mean teaching at an academy or being brought in by a law enforcement agency to teach the police? When a civilian says this. Okay. So, and we're just going to go on forward with that. Now, here's the question. When we say that, what is usually the case? Oh, there we go. They have an established program with law enforcement. Okay. That's one opinion. That's good.
Yep.
That's what's coming to Tish's mind when someone says that. So either you have a program or you're part of a program. Because you may not be, generally, civilians don't teach law enforcement or military. Now, the word general, there are exceptions to everything, and we're going to go over a couple, but I would say 90+% of the time when someone says they teach law enforcement, what they really mean is they have a police officer or two in their school. And there's a guy, part of the Monterey community, is no longer with us, passed away a while ago, and I'm not going to mention his name, but because I don't want to speak ill of the dead. Yeah, they have student police officer. Okay, here we go. Okay, can you see that? Because it's right in front of my...
Yeah, Jeremy says, I know one fellow that teaches police. He actually teaches at an OPP facility, although he is also an officer and is a frequent visitor to their school.
Okay.
SSOMA.
So, SOMA, yeah, PG Crags. Okay, so, but when a martial artist, not a law enforcement officer, I think we probably should have been more specific with that.
Right. Civilian, martial artist.
Civilian, yeah, non-law enforcement. So basically, what most of the time when people say they teach law enforcement or military, I'd probably say 95% of the time, maybe more. It is they have somebody in. Like I said, this guy locally. What's this here? Okay.
Excellent.
I'll go to work. Okay, good night.
Catch you later.
So most, like I said, the guy locally, he used to advertise every single agent. I used to look at his ad. He had 50 agencies on there because he had someone from the FBI who trained with him once, from the CIA, from the Treasury departments, from fill in the blank. And it was a laundry list of agencies, but he didn't work at those agencies. Right. He had students from these things. And, and we have to be careful because there's a lot of nuances to teaching law enforcement. A lot of people are unaware.
We could actually go through a spectrum.
Bobby's on the phone. I'll be right back.
Okay. We could actually go through a spectrum. I'll go ahead and sort of set the stage. I don't know if that's what we were going to do, but that's okay. So one of the things I've noticed is you come across people that say they taught law enforcement, and they've had students that were law enforcement or law enforcement officers of some sort, federal or local, state, etc. And and you also have some where maybe you had offered a seminar to everybody, and some, again, police officers came, and both of those sometimes count. In my mind, that is not I teach law enforcement. That is taught some people, and some of them have done law enforcement. Maybe we had a good discussion, maybe we had some good questions, but it's not the same as having a program for law enforcement. My perspective. I'm a civilian for sure. Not ever served as law enforcement or even military, but I've done a couple things. So let's see. On my own, I first started doing this. What did I do? I helped at the local police department. A friend of mine in Bryan, Texas, Hanchi Raymond Montoya, teach some of the things in the down there. But he was running it, and he was a law enforcement officer, and he was the instructor for the program. I helped out, and I got certified in PPCT too. But that wasn't me teaching law enforcement. Does that fit in with where some of the places you were going, Tim? I know you were on the phone.
I was on the phone with Bobby Tabata.
Okay, that guy, and we're going to see him this weekend. He's going to be on our show. Yep,
he has committed to the show.
Excellent.
And let me see here. Boom.
Let's see. Yeah. Tony. I believe Bill McGrath wears the teach court officers who was once a court officer.
He was a court officer himself. So
yep. And Jeremy had a comment before that too.
Okay, I didn't know if that was
one would be you teach law enforcement, or you teach people who also happen to work in law enforcement. So that is sort of the kind of two camps, and there's shades of gray on the edges and in between.
Words matter. That's actually the theme of the show. Now, we've been going. I've been going to the Virginia Police Academy since like 07, 08. So I'm an adjunct instructor with a group called Sheepdog Combatives. Sheepdog Combatives is a group run by law enforcement officers. So basically, as a whole, civilians don't get into the academies. But as an adjunct instructor, which Ty has become one of the adjunct instructors as well, we go in. We'll ignore Jason there, and Jason Arnold has come down and assisted part of the cadre. So working at the Jason's okay. Here's us at the Virginia Academy.
I think that was the one time in the last 6 years that I didn't go.
Yeah. What was the time prior? This was actually, I think if you look at our, let me see. So this is the class. And there's John McClain right here, right there. John McClain, which is his pen name. We keep that off the grid. There's a lot of law officers do. Not they don't claim to be yippee-ki-yo-ki-yay, but we are brought in as civilian consultants. So I've been going in, and the nice thing here is, actually he sent me an email on this. So things that he wanted me to share. Now, this is not what the show is about, but we are going to just touch base on, and probably, okay. So we got Filipino martial arts into the academy. I have taught with street crime units, DT recertification courses, and so it goes back to. Let me see here. According to what Mr. John says, it goes back to 2001. Then how I got the EDT program into there, which is probably 2007, 2008. I wasn't involved to like 2007 or 08. We have an FMA program blended into a law enforcement program. So it's a nice marriage of the two that's actually contracted to be part of the Virginia DCJS program.
Yep.
System. It's part of the curriculum there. Now, it's not what the academy teaches its cadets. This is not what that's for. This is for advanced training. So,
and that was the part I was going to stress, is the idea that there's a contract with this group that specializes and does teach law enforcement.
Right.
And it has an established contract, and it's starting to expand now too.
Right. So, and I just, okay, so I got, okay, I'll have to deal with that later. So, I don't remember when the one before that or after that. I can't, it's been so jacked up. Let me see while I look into this. I'm missing so much. My files are a little out of whack as of late. Could be that I'm out of whack as of late.
Most likely.
Most
likely. I know I am.
But the thing that, okay, so here's the problem. You hear people talk about this all the time. I actually heard this at the Pikiti camp, as well as the guys talking about, well, I got military guys stopping by my place and training. I go, yeah, but, and I my knee jerk, my brain overrided my knee jerk reaction. My brain said, don't say a word because you're a guest at somebody else's place. But the knee-jerk reaction was like, no, you don't teach law enforcement. You don't teach military. You have people coming in off hours. I've had that for decades. Mm-hmm. I've had that since the beginning of my time. That I teach people who are in that. They come to me for extra training, and it makes me feel good that they feel that I can offer something valuable to them. That's great. That is not what the deal is, though.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I think it's also a separation between the issue of, hey, do you have your civilian program, your regular students, or do you have a law enforcement military program that is, I guess, sanctioned, right, or part of the program?
Yeah. So and Sam was part of it. So Ty, how long back do you go involved with this?
For Sheepdog Combatives, I think it was 13, 14, something like that.
And you've been one of the principal instructors.
Right. But before that was helping out at the PD, like I was describing earlier, and I even did a couple other separate things, but I wouldn't call that. I was going to get into that as a weird example. But anyway, helping, again, a law enforcement officer who is certified instructor and running that program for the PD, helping do that for years, in the 90s. Yeah, 90s. And then one time locally, me and another student, we put together a thing where we would put together a law enforcement seminar if anybody was interested. That was on their own time. That doesn't count as teaching law enforcement. We offered a program, a seminar, weekend seminar. Hey, you want to do this? It could be fun. It could be illuminating. It could be interesting. That's separate. So that's that weird area, but I think I put that more on the civilian side. Is just we're offering our insights and they can use it or not. It's not part of the program. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know. I mean, you're nailing it right there, and that's the problem I have is that our industry is not careful with their words.
Well, there's marketing and there's lies.
And since you went there, I'm going to go there. I think a lot of people. I think there's some mistruths going on. So here's one we did back in 2018. So
that's doing some of the EDT stuff.
Yeah, and that's one of our guys, which we're not going to talk about who it is at the moment.
Elmer
is with me. Is one of our members in the organization, and this person was shot with paintballs or later that moment. This is
there's my wife in the background.
Yeah, there's your wife right there.
Yep.
Yeah. So you were. Oh, by the way, you are here.
I'm there. Yeah. Well, I'm not in the picture. Yeah.
Yeah. So and we're going through this, working the escort. This is all EDT, Edge Weapon Defensive Tactics, working that escort position. Our program is geared against the untrained. Oh, there he is. The untrained opponent, not the trained opponent. Right. Because most people out there do not train martial arts.
and it's specifically geared, since it is geared towards this law enforcement part. It's short and sweet and simple and straightforward to the point, right?
Yeah, and I think
There's a
this
couple
is
considerations.
so there's Elmer again. So we did a lot because the weather changed. We did a lot. Well, we're doing a lot of. We have a marker system, that shoots rubber, chalk, and paint, and you really don't want to do that inside. So right here is there we go. This is you teaching there.
Mhm.
And then there's my EDCs, which generally I take out of my pocket when we go on a training environment. And then here we are. I don't know who was using my camera, but they did a terrible job. Okay, there we go. So Mr. McLean, me, and you. But we teach at the academy. We're adjunct instructors with a law enforcement group because generally speaking, civilians don't teach law enforcement. Now, that's a generalized statement. There are exceptions, and there's a difference between, now there's another thing that happens out there is discretionary funds.
Mhm.
Now,
Right. Kind of like elective type stuff.
Yeah, so exactly. So I'm pretty sure that's how Vunak got his. So if I'm not mistaken, after talking to someone else earlier about this, Paul Vunak was teaching the SEALs. The U.S. government didn't go looking for Paul Vunak to teach the SEALs. What happens is you have discretionary funds. And if you don't, a lot of times it's use it or lose it. So like in the police here, they've got a bike unit. Like, why do we have bicycle police? Well, and one of the things we talked about is they said, if we don't use this, not only will we lose the money, they will cut our budget. Yeah. So when you have funds allocated, you have to use them. So a lot of times, like what the SEAL units might do, as using them as the example, because this has happened with people, they bring someone in on their own. It has to be signed off by the government because the government writes the check. But it wasn't the head of the branch saying we need this person. A lot of people are signing off checks. They probably don't know who's doing what. They just did. What do you need it for? Okay, and you might, and someone who knows more about that could always chime in. But I'm not going to go down there. But words matter, and the thing here is a lot of times we throw out this whole vernacular about I teach police when I'm not. I teach law enforcement. You're not. This goes back.
Here's a thought too. Law enforcement is an activity or description, right? You teach people if you're having a commercial school, right? Or if you're teaching in the park or whatever. What you're teaching out there is people until you have a program that's part of the activity, right? I think maybe that's a distinction.
Yeah, like I said, this isn't a huge. This is kind of an easy one for us to do because it's more or less talking about people got to stop saying these things,
or be careful at least.
Well, it just thinks, hey, listen. As a school owner, I'm very careful on what I say. So I've been doing this since HMA goes back to 88. I started doing the academy in 07, 08. I'm going to say 08. I didn't claim anything at the beginning. I don't like claiming it. Well, it comes up in different conversations. Like, when I'm talking about people, like when they sign up, I go, listen, our program is fairly street defense oriented here. We still do martial art. We do martial sport. We do the combatives, but our program is more self-defense based. If you want to do more Olympic martial arts, there's the Taekwondo club down the road, they have Olympic Taekwondo. That would be it. But there's usually only 4 people on the team. So, you better be really good. Unless you're the host country, then I guess you're allowed 8, if I'm not mistaken. So, and I go, and the thing here is, then as we're talking about this, then I'll sit there and say, well, I'm an adjunct instructor with Sheepdog Combatives. I'm a civilian consultant. I was brought in. So Sheepdog Combatives are law enforcement people. They have a contract. They reached out to me to be part of that. And then they expanded it to you and other members of our group. Now we have some people that just come down and be role players every now and then. And then we have principals. We have support team, which anybody can pretty much, be part of, and then there's the principal instructors, which you and I are part of that staff,
and Elmer.
Elmer himself is an LEO of some sort as well.
Yep.
But you and I are we the only 2 civilian consultants at the moment?
I think at the moment, or regularly, whichever one I'll say.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So like I said, we have support, so we'll have people come down to be role players and stuff like that.
There's another Leo guy who is sort of adjunct, right? Helps out. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh, T?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no.
B.
Yeah. Yep.
And he works for an agency. Yes.
Yep.
Once again, another person who is in the line of business.
But he's sometimes safety, sometimes he's role play, sometimes he's helping the instruction.
Yep.
He's fairly regular. But anyway, it's a
So
I think people get caught up in the I'll say it tactical thing, which is I don't play that game. I'm the last person, as you know, to be sort of tactical, but I like helping the officers that are doing what they need to, and doing so from the point of view of somebody running things that knows the risks and realities that they have. I don't do that. I just know my piece of things. Right. I never lived that life. No. So you need that reality check.
The thing here too is we don't know how to articulate things. And, so
legally and stuff. Yeah.
So, when we go down, we have someone else, Mr. McLean, who takes care of, and Elmer talks about proper ways to articulate and write things up and stuff like that. What's the use of force continuum? A lot of people don't understand that. And, and it's a good thing to understand, well, some people don't realize that if you're unarmed, the police have whatever you are, the police have the ability to go one above, no problem.
Yep.
So, that's the simple one. So if you're unarmed, they can hit you with a stick, a baton, or they can spray you or tase you.
In the right circumstances, yeah.
Yeah, and not just indiscriminately going up.
That's what you do, right?
Keep it off the grid.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I can't have a taser, but a cattle prod's legal in New York State. Just saying.
New York special. I'm supporting New York today.
Oh, there we go. New York is right. Yeah, there's this math. The show is okay. There was really this show is about words matter, and it's about, are you really teaching the police or really doing things like let me do a martial art thing. You don't mind if I segue, do you?
No, it's fine. But actually, while we're doing this, why don't we have anybody chiming on who's also either helped or taught law enforcement, and any questions or comments they might have in the comments. So
how words can matter. So definitely chime in if you've done this or whatever. It's all about perspective. Like we talk about things on the show, and recently there was like Terrell Richardson. We all know Terrell. He's on the show once in a while. He asked in the last few months, hey, who's the earliest student of professors that's still teaching seminars?
Right.
So I was like, that's a no-brainer. That's Bruce Jutnick.
In the U.S., yeah.
In the U.S. Now, Bruce and I get along great. So before we go any further, because when I say this, people might start getting twisted. I love Bruce. He's going to be teaching at the anniversary camp. And when I met him at the event that I met him for the second time at the event of the shirt that you're wearing. After he saw me move, he said the only thing I was missing was the glasses and the suntan. And he said, I would have thought you were Remy. His words, not mine. And he said that in front of everybody in the class. So he's given me a lot of praise. And because of him, I end up getting gifted Remy's stick bag that he actually had made for Remy. Remy eventually gave it to the late Glenn Abrasi, and then Glenn gave it to me decades later. So I mean, I had to let's go, guys, because I almost lost it in front of everybody. You know? So this is the relationship when I say this. Okay, so I got a lot of love for the man. But when he teaches, he does more of a modern Serrata blend, a fusion, which is not a bad thing. But I made the comment, and I said, well, that's Bruce, but most likely, but it's a modern Serrata blend. But if you want to talk about modern Arnie's proper, I'm probably the guy, the thing, because, and you'll get people like Kelly Warden, who's still teaching, but he's doing that NSI blend, right? So then Dan Anderson chimes in. Well, I still teach seminars, and I'm like, and I just let it go. But I mean, in my mind, are you really teaching seminars, or, what do you mean by that? To me, doing one seminar a year, maybe two, that's really not worth talking about, or are you talking about, are you doing seminars in your school? Like when I do seminars in my school, I have people logging in from around the world. I got people coming from out of state. Prior to COVID, I was doing 30 plus seminars a year. So when someone says I do seminars, so a lot of times when you hear those things, and like I said, words matter. Is do you teach police? Do you really teach police? I teach military. Do you really teach military? And it's bad enough that too many of us out there said this when it wasn't true. Mm-hmm. It'd be different. It's like, I've had law enforcement officers. This is what I used to say prior to becoming a part of Sheepdog. I grew up in a military and law enforcement family. It's not my vocation, but I've had a bunch of students throughout the years who've done this, and I'll modify my material to fit their needs. But I don't teach in the academies. I have no connection to that. Since 07, 08, that's completely changed. But, I would talk to them. I constantly use law enforcement terminology during my class. So if anybody in the room is an LEO or whatever, they understand LEO, law enforcement officer, in case someone doesn't know what a LEO is. So people understand that I understand some of their issues. Craig often talks about Elmer's skill with a knife.
He has a fair bit of knife training.
Just a tad.
Tad, yes.
We're hunting rabbits. It's not Elmer Fudd, by the way.
There you go.
But
well, yeah, I've also heard people where they go up and they, I taught this guy, and eventually he went on to become a law enforcement person. He used my stuff in the field. Okay, you taught a person, civilian-wise, and they changed their career, and maybe they used some stuff. That's great and everything, but it's not the same as what you imply with your uncareful words.
Yeah, because, who knows? Hey, Rich, how you doing, brother? You don't know how much you weren't in the encounter.
Right.
So how do you know what they used?
If they saw the situation and they avoided it, there you go. That's
well, I don't know. Okay, Carl Altram, our brother up north, our Bajan brother, Canadian Bajan. Mm-hmm. Not to be confused with Canadian bacon.
And he's got the good hair too.
Yeah, he's got the hair just like yours.
And Bobby.
Yeah, and Bobby. He's a paralegal. Something happened at work, and he had to defend a woman that was there. And a guy who was training him Kempo goes, "Yes, there we go. Kempo's working." He's like, "Tim, I put him in a sleeper move. It's none of the Kempo technique. He threw a punch. I parried. I put him in a rear naked choke." And I got that watching WWE.
Nice.
Hulk Hogan, baby. Wait. Did he do Hulk Hogan techniques? Was that what it was? That was the training?
Well, now you're going to get me started on the idea that, hey, if it worked, it was a good technique, even if you think it doesn't work.
You know what time it is?
Uh-oh.
Okay, it's that time that I'm going to step out for a moment.
There you go.
I can talk smack. I'm going to get rid of the brand.
I never do that. Yeah, I need to do that.
You need to do that more often because I hear you, but I'm disappointed that you don't talk smack as much. I'll be back.
I don't got any good stories. All right.
We were talking about that one time in Quiapo when I thought that guy was a girl. No, I'm joking.
That's right. Well, there was that one restaurant downtown in Manila. But anyway, yeah, I got no smack here. What was I saying? Oh, so with Carl talking about using the sleeper hold, and as a Kempo guy who also does some little arnis, the idea that is that something that he does, or maybe he learned it from WBD and it worked. The idea there is that if it worked, it worked. And we've seen all sorts of techniques that technically we all know as trained martial artists that that's kind of silly. It wouldn't work, but it does. So if it works, it works. No reason to second guess anything. It's just sort of a side tangent I went off on just because of the idea of watching something from WWDE. Heck, I might do a pump handle slam if that's what pops out and it works. I don't care. You do what works and what the opportunity dictates. I don't go looking for anything, right? If you were looking to use a technique, then you're probably already gonna be in the hole.
Hurricane Rata.
Do what?
Do a Hurricane Rata. So
there you go.
Around there and do a little lucha libre,
That's too much activity. I think I'm gonna do like Hadouken or something.
There we go. Okay, there we go. You're gonna do a little Street Fighter.
That's right. Because that came up, I think, in was it Paulo? It was some thread that I was watching today.
Yeah. So I mean, and I was a little disappointed. Actually, I was very disappointed in the guy that made the comment. He's talking about this on the internet. I'd be like, dude, are you okay? And then I wouldn't say, hey, braces our knees, baby. I wouldn't. I don't know. I'd be like, dude.
Yeah.
I'm glad you were there to protect the girl.
Yep.
Hey, it was good to see more people stepping up and do the right thing. And the guy was here's another reason why I like living in my town. Talk about doing the right thing. During COVID, the restaurants were open, had the barriers, had to wear the masks, blah, blah, blah. This guy he's mentally challenged. And the town knows him very well. And he goes off and starts yelling and screaming and dropping the F-bomb in the restaurant about masks and stuff. And I'm like, and I get up and turn and Jan's like, hey, whatever. And I took a few because it was, and it looks like, it looks like one of the kids I grew up with because it was all the 80s, real long hair. He's a young kid, but he's got all the spiked armbands that all the metal bands would have. Mm-hmm. And there's a woman there with her family and a couple other families. And I start getting up and getting verbal with the kid. And I just stood there and I look over my shoulder and like 3 or 4 people standing up with me. I was like, good. This is what it made me feel good. But I didn't do it. If I would have used our techniques on it, I'm like, dude, we just did the right thing to help out the community, and it's not about using our techniques. It's about using our confidence, backing people up, saying what you have to do. And hopefully as martial artists, as John, sheepdog combatives, we are the sheepdogs of the community. We get involved and we do stuff, but we don't beat on our chest and say, this is what I'm doing and all this other stuff. And
right. I think what we'd end up using is you don't use technique, you use attributes. So in this case, an attribute was what you use. How it comes out is a whole different thing, but you're using the attributes.
So, and this goes for the same thing with military. Like I said, here's the thing. A lot of agencies, period, law enforcement and military, may have discretionary funds that they have to use. So these are some of those exceptions when people say, hey, listen, this guy is notorious for blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, when you using, okay, like when the SEALs started using, they used VUNAC. Now there's a whole bunch of things that allegedly happened. People lost jobs and stuff. And I think the biggest thing that I heard was he took a photo of the team and put them in SEAL Team 6, I think it was. and put it in his advertisement. Well, the thing here is if you're special ops, no one's supposed to have a picture of you, let alone being advertised. So all these guys, now I heard there were some other things they lost their jobs on, some kind of fights and stuff like that. But it's, but at the end of the day, you want to stay off. They had discretionary funds. They reached out to him. They did stuff. It's not the same thing as the government saying, or law enforcement agencies, which is basically the government, saying that we need Ty Botting, Tim Hartman, Elmer Fudd, John McClane. Well, I mean, of course, Elmer and John are both LEOs themselves, or something of that nature. We'll just go that way. Where you and I are civilian consultants. Now we're brought in with that team. Sheepdog Combatives is a law enforcement group with civilian adjunct instructors as part of it. And that's where we fit in. Mm-hmm. But most people can't claim. Actually, I don't. My knee-jerk reactions when someone tells me they teach law enforcement, I think that they don't know what they're talking about. And I listen to them. I give them the opportunity to prove me wrong. Now, did you guys hear what I just sat there and said? I gave them the opportunity to prove that I'm wrong. And that's how I approach everything. When I hear something, I don't, if it sounds outlandish, I'm like, I don't buy this. But you know what? Stranger things have happened. So let's let them talk. Let's see what they know. But usually law enforcement or people that claim to teach law enforcement officers is that's what they do. They teach someone who's in law enforcement.
Here's the thing: they usually put it out as part of their advertising, or it's part of their list of it's part of their role of all the things that they're trying to get you to say, hey, they're really good, right? So usually it's a list of things, and that already tells me a couple of things. One, as you pointed out with the pictures, there's the idea of OPSEC, right? If you're actually doing that, then there are certain things you want to be careful of and whatnot. So it depends on what you're showing, what you're saying. That'll color things as far as how I'm going to react. But I usually just go, okay, yeah, and I move on, because it's either it is a thing or it isn't, but it really has no bearing to me as a normal civilian martial artist.
Right.
Well, maybe not so normal.
You're far from normal, but that's besides what I'm bummed. But
hey, I took my meds, man.
You didn't take enough. Yeah, like I said, we're not saying that. And the thing here is, when we say this, okay, we know other people are doing this. We know that and here's a lot of things. If we have someone who says that they're doing this, what are the odds on them being law enforcement already?
If they are, yeah. I can think of several people just off the top of my head that applies to. And two of them were mentioned on the show already. 4 of them. But
I said that I think there's just too many times where people make these comments and they really don't know what they're talking about. No, that's not one.
Well, it doesn't even have to be evil, right? There's the marketing, so maybe they're playing with words, but there's also the idea is they don't get it, right? So maybe you don't understand, and you think that you actually were sought out, or that you are. It's really easy for people to think that others don't know what they know, right? So it can come across that way. What you got?
I mean, listen. Civilians don't get to go in. This is the kind of stuff. What is your proof? Civilians don't go walked in looking like operators or instructors somewhere. And I'm not saying, man, he looks like a deer in the headlights. I don't
they look like a bunch of thugs. What are you talking about?
He's definitely he's probably just shocked that the camera's working. But civilians don't get access to police academies. So I've seen letters from like we're over at so I think isn't this weekend at Ryan Hoover's?
I don't know.
we're going there. We have no clue where we're going to be. I think Ryan Fit Fight, right?
It's Fit to Fight.
Fit to Fight. So that's Ryan Hoover.
Okay.
He's got letters from agencies. I've got a letter from an agency. So I know there's people out there doing this.
So like letters of appreciation, or what is that?
Yeah, for coming in doing stuff. I know that there's some Krav groups in Texas that do stuff because some of the Krav schools. Oh my God, we're in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
Krav is like Taekwondo down there. They've got 50,000 square foot facilities, and they have multiple locations. In the one location we were at, they had something set up to be a plane, train, or bus. They had a room with seats, and you could role play it any way you want. You want this to be an airplane, you want it to be a train, you want it to be a bus, anything you can just boom. And they had a room just dedicated to. So they work with law enforcement. Now I'm not saying that they're teaching, because they may just have a contract for them to use their facility.
Could be,
because obviously that's expensive. I mean, to have a setup like that, not an easy, it's not a cheap thing. So, and to have a room dedicated, you need a large facility.
Yep.
So I do know that academies have used, well, like right here. So I'm in West Seneca, New York, a suburb of Buffalo. Rochester, New York is about 45 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on what part of Rochester from here. That's where Tuhan Jack's from. Woo-hoo. So when one of our guys transferred over there, that you could carry an ASP without having taken the course. You don't need to be certified. The ASP is the brand of baton, ASP, the folding baton.
Right. Well,
when he came to West Seneca, he couldn't do it. He had to wait for 3 years. So I talked to the DT instructor who I knew. I go, hey, Turk, you need to run, because actually the guy he brought his kids to me, and he trained with me once in a while. Oh, here we go. Tim's teaching police. Yes, teaching police on their dime, on their time. And you come in, we talk. I'm like, hey, you tell Turk that if he's got enough people to run a class, you can use my facility. So I do know that martial arts schools will develop a relationship with law enforcement. We did we've done our, we did the when you were up here for the August camp, we did our chicken barbecue. I had a cooler full of chicken. I just told them to come on over afterwards. Like 30, 40 pieces of turkey or chicken breast, sent them over there. We do a town festival that the West Seneca Police Department does stuff. I was part of the board the committee to be part of that. So I'm not working with the police as in attack group, but I'm working with the police on a community event. So we start doing this dialogue relationship and go, hey, anytime you guys want to use my facility, hey, let's send the guys over. I've always given them some kind of discount to train here, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So I know schools do this, but it's different than what we're talking about, so, and we got to be careful, because we seem, if we don't do it right, we seem like charlatans.
Right. I mean, if you're trying to manipulate the perception, and it's
if you're trying to manipulate perception, then they're either insecure or they don't give a damn. They're unethical. Let's just call it what it is. If I have all the respect, if you sit there and say, you know what, I don't teach law enforcement agencies, but I do have people that come in from agents, from departments. They train with me, and and in my case, I talk to them to find out what their needs. And the first thing I said is, don't switch your footwork. Always do strong side back. Protect your firearm at all times. Whenever and this is how people understand it. So basically, for those who don't know, as a martial artist, if we teach to switch our feet all the time, our weapon system, if we're carrying one, you can be giving your opponent access to it.
Mhm.
No, pocket knife's probably no big deal, but when you're putting a baton or your firearm or your taser and stuff like that, you want to protect it. You keep it away from the reach of your opponent.
Mhm.
So, the first thing I tell everybody is like, listen, I want you to step this way to do the technique, unless you carry a sidearm as part of your profession or personal protection. And that's a green light right there for everybody in the room
Mhm.
that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to law enforcement restrictions. And that doesn't mean I know everything. What it means is that I understand that they have different needs than we have,
Mhm.
and we have to modify what we're doing towards that. Now, that one phrase doesn't mean anything.
Mhm.
It's the rest of the stuff that goes behind it. It's like, all right, listen, you can't, I remember a SWAT team came to one of my seminars in Chicago. It was an Arnis seminar. I taught them Arnis. That's it. I didn't teach the SWATs.
Mhm.
The SWAT members came. I was like 4 or 5 of them came to the seminar, and the head guy was like, "Yeah." I talked about doing headshots with the stick. We can't do that. I go, "Well, we're stick on stick, so it's a lethal situation." No, they'd rather have us shoot the person instead. They don't care what the thing is. They don't want us hitting someone in the head with a baton. Oh, okay, all right. So if that's the protocol that he had to deal with at that time, and look how jacked up police are. Oh, you can't pull over for these minor infractions anymore. Well, if it's illegal, why? So you're just gonna let them break the law? And sometimes, well, I don't want to get into that. That's a
I was going to go off too.
that's a rabbit hole. I'm good. How do you feel?
I think, it was it was good, definitely going to be a short one anyway, but I thought we'd sort of explore the implications and whatnot, and hopefully have some conversations. Oh, well, Paolo's
okay.
here.
What's up is we're about to close down, bud. Where have you been?
Unless he's got a bunch of LE comments or questions for martial artists claiming such. But it'll take him a while to say something, if he's going to.
Hold on. You know me. That's
He says he has thoughts.
You have thoughts?
He has thoughts.
You have some thoughts?
There you go. That's what I was going to suggest, actually.
I just sent it to you already. Just check your inbox. You see, I move a lot quicker than people give me credit for. I'm a freaking ninja. Did you see what I sent you, brother? Facebook Messenger. I already sent it in. That's what I'm in that stealth mode. Maybe we caught him off guard. Of course, we want to bring you in. I could regret this. On my way. Okay, let's leave.
There you go. What's to regret?
You know what? We haven't had Paolo on the show. We should have Paolo on the show. Not now. We will have him on now, but just in a.
I was supposed to go on his, but we never talked about that, and I actually haven't talked to him since.
Hey, where's your camera, bro?
I was supposed to go on his, but we never talked about that.
Oh, he's got his microphone up too big. Hey, where's your camera, bro?
He's used to running the show, so it's different.
Put your headset on or whatever.
You guys are fast. Hold on. I'm just.
Oh, wait, what's Ray got here?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You want me to read Ray's comment while we get situated?
Yeah.
All right. So Ray Collins says, "Great content, Tim Hartman. I actually do teach law enforcement and have been contracted many times to do so. However, an issue I've seen with some folks is that they may embellish exactly what it is they teach. True. Me personally, it's CQB, shooting and operational medicine, not DT. LE agencies are very picky on who they let outside their agencies teach. Absolutely. Especially when it comes to recruits. Also, yeah. In fact, I've been teaching law enforcement for years and have never taught at a recruit academy, only seasoned Leos, respectfully." So we were at the academy, but it was seasoned folks usually.
We're pretty much doing the same thing.
Right. Except for you wander in the halls and you get Sir this and Sir that and Sir the other thing.
You're talking to the wrong guy with that.
Makes me start crying. What happened to Paolo? Did you kick him off?
No, he took himself out.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
Hey,
Oh, jeez. My
long
back
time
now.
no see and never met. Nice to
Yeah.
see you.
Hey, bro.
Hi, Ty. PG Ty. So
How you doing, Paula?
I'm well. I'm good.
How was
good.
Utah?
Oh man, it was good. It was good. I was teaching some law enforcement guys.
Of course you were. You and GM Poggy.
Oh yeah, Ian Poggy. So what are you guys talking about? What did I miss, man? You guys are
We
talking
just
about
basically
how.
said everyone lies.
Yeah. Hey, are we going to be on for at least 10 minutes?
Oh yeah.
Can I go grab a drink real quick?
Yeah.
I was totally unprepared. I was just kind of joking around.
Oh wait,
and
what are you
guys
gonna
were like,
drink? What are you gonna drink?
I'm gonna get. What do I have? Damn
Did Joe leave a bottle behind?
it! No. Oh my God! What's the thing with the red wax tip? It's an American
Whiskey?
bourbon. It's an American bourbon. It's
Okay,
got like,
you're gonna get booze. Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
Go get
I'll be
it.
back. I'll be back.
Oh, yeah. This ought to be a good one.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes.
Paul's
No,
getting-
but
Paul's
I
getting
appreciated
tricky.
Ray's comment, and I like the idea that that they are very particular about who they let outside their agencies, and it's also not even other agencies, right? So just because you're one law enforcement doesn't mean they'll be
That's it.
asking you to teach at a different place.
What
Well, that
it
was
called?
fast.
Shabam.
What's it called?
Makers.
Oh, Makers Mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You should try some Pendrin.
Never heard of her.
It's a Welsh.
Oh, nice.
Very
I like.
smooth.
Yeah, don't trust Ty because he also likes Hellboy.
What's
It's a
Hellboy?
cool bottle, but
a
it's
cool
really,
looking
really,
bottle.
really bad.
Literally after the comic, but
Yes.
it's a silly drink. So what you put something else in it. You put like Jack or something in there. I'm a Mount Gay rum guy myself because I go to
Yeah.
Barbados.
Yeah. Hey, it's good. Ty, you were supposed to go on my podcast.
Yeah, we never talked, and I don't know.
I guess you'd have to invite him on for a specific show.
Well, lately you've been going live when I've been way too busy at work because my real job.
Yeah, I don't really plan.
Hey, what are you doing this weekend?
Um,
I see the shirt you're wearing. Are you going to go visit Bobby?
no, if you see, it's this is from the Kali Evolution. There's GM Bobby, there's Ray Dionaldo, and there's Jared.
Yeah, whatever.
Jared.
Go on, Bobby. We're going to see Bobby this weekend.
Oh, you are?
You can come along if you can get across the border
Wow.
fast enough.
You know what I got to do? I got to get a COVID test 72 hours before I cross the border, and then I got to get another COVID test 72 hours before I get back. And each one of those things could be like up to $250.
Rite Aid is doing them free down here.
They won't accept those. Yeah.
Oh, they won't?
If they're the rapid antigen test, they won't. If they're the PCR test, they
I think
will.
it's a PCR test.
Then yeah, like in
Rite
Miami,
Yeah.
coming out of Miami, it was completely free.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there are certain ones that have a time guarantee.
Mm.
Those are the ones that cost money. Otherwise, it's like, oh, it could be 3 to 5 days. And
I got a guy who's going to get one in Canada, come down for 2 days, and still go back and says legally that it's still valid for him coming back into Canada.
yeah, if it's within 72 hours. I've just been.
It makes no sense because you're coming to the States. What if you get it?
A lot of these things don't make sense.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah, there's a way to get it for free though. You just got to be really good at Photoshop. Which I'm pretty,
La 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 la.
I am great at Photoshop, but that's my. Gosh, we're talking about law enforcement stuff too.
I don't think we want to talk about that.
That's right.
No, I don't do that stuff.
So
Oh yeah, hey, what did I miss?
You need to take the fifth on that. What were you doing on the 13th?
I don't recall. I don't recall.
So we were talking about people claiming to teach law enforcement and military. Actually, it's not about law enforcement and military. It's about people who are wordsmiths, whether they saying incorrect things, whether they realize it or not.
Oh, right.
And using law enforcement and military as the example. I mean, really, that's what this is a clickbait conversation. Do you teach the police, or do you just teach police? That was the whole concept. And what it really meant is, do you have a couple of cops as students, or do you actually have a contract to teach at the academy? Which was a segue of going, most people who talk don't know what they're talking about. Half of them are probably unwittingly lying to people, where the other half is intentionally deceiving them.
That's true. I've talked about this before. Law enforcement and military clientele are like the trophy wives of Filipino martial arts. Once you get them, you just want to show them off. It's like, hey, look. But you're right. Like, the first question you should be asking is it sanctioned by the department, the unit, the city, the county, the country? And usually the answer is no. Right. And that's cool. It's just that you guys are right. Like, it's just, how people kind of pad their resume and they make certain jobs sound more, high level than it actually is. Not that there's anything wrong with teaching like a friend or a couple of friends, or that, you're teaching a mixed bag seminar primarily of civilians and a couple of cops show up. But typically, 2 cops show up to your civilian seminar, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there you go. Northern Virginia Criminal Justice Academy.
Yeah. So
I think what I'm thinking.
Me and John McClane.
We were talking about it being a difference between, marketing and lying is in terms of what the expectation management is, right? If you falsely set up an expectation, that's bad. Now, if you're saying, hey, I taught these people, and you put it in the right context, go for it. Because it all, as you're clear and transparent, sure, it's all good to go.
See, the fact that you have there what appears to be a PowerPoint presentation, that's a good thing, What do you got there? Yeah, that's a good thing. Active countermeasures, know your weapons. Yeah, awesome. It's good stuff. And I mean, like, the stuff that they're, I see a lot of these. Functional retainability over a short period of time is really what you're looking for in order to, meet what they actually need. Anyway, you guys probably got to all this already, right?
Well, we were talking more about the wordsmith game. Mm-hmm. But we would definitely, I mean, okay, so for those who don't understand or don't know who Paulo is, this is the guy who was one of the founders, if not the founder, of Funker Tactical.
I heard he was a big fish.
I'm an influencer. Oh my goodness!
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
No, it's okay. It's funny. I'm the founder of Funker Tactical.
There you go.
The owner of that. Not that that's I guess it's kind of a big deal. I think it was a big deal when I started pushing Filipino martial arts.
Okay, so you made somebody's career. You made two somebody's career.
Yeah,
in my opinion. I mean,
Doug Marcaida being one of them.
Yeah. So that was the one. If you were doing stuff with Sean Tyler,
mm-hmm.
and I don't know how Doug got in front of what happened, because I know Sean was with you for a while doing stuff, and then Doug did an appearance on a show or two, and then he's very charismatic. And Instructor Zero, is that the other guy?
Yeah, Instructor Zero, Fred Mastro, a whole bunch of dudes.
Yeah. So, but I mean, if Doug, when it comes to his visibility on social media, I mean, he had a presence, but it was nothing like it was after he started working with Funker Tactical. It blew up.
Yeah.
I think Maestro was good in Europe, Maestro Fred, but I don't think he had a presence here in the States until you gave him that.
No, and not even that big in Europe either. Yeah, whatever. I mean,
no, but I mean,
it's part of my journey.
So you are an influencer.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a long, deep story with multi layers. But the long and short of it,
what we should do is have you on the show for that.
Yeah, I should. I should be on your show.
Oh, you're on now.
Well, I mean, like, do we got to stick to topic now? Like, we're at a minute. We're at an hour.
Whatever the hell you want.
Why don't you guys? I don't know. I'm feeling froggy. I mean, like, is there anything you want to know about? I've traveled the world, right?
So what have you seen as far as people claiming or not claiming, or the good and the bad on both sides of what the realities were for people training law enforcement? How's that?
All right. I'd like to answer that. Can you narrow it down for me? You want to know the good and the bad from what I've witnessed, experienced firsthand, what I've heard, things
Let's
like
go with the
that.
first hand. I think is best, right?
So when it comes to law enforcement training relating to the Filipino martial arts, it's what Filipino martial artists would deem the boring stuff. It's completely boring.
Mhm.
It's boring, especially if you've been doing Filipino martial arts for any period of time. And the thing that people need to understand about law enforcement people is that they're not very well trained. For the most part, they suck at empty hand tactics, right? And the reason I can say this is because, well, my best friend's a cop. It's true, but it's true. I hang out with a lot of law enforcement professionals, and it doesn't matter where you are. The cops who train, the cops who take their job seriously, and who pay out of pocket to attend seminars that isn't sanctioned or paid for by the department. Those are the guys that don't need to be there because they train all the time. The guys who actually need to be there, you're pulling teeth for them to show up to a friggin' free seminar.
So,
You know,
would you say that the public perception of how often or how well law enforcement officers are trained are a little skewed?
very skewed, and military too.
I would even
Outside,
off.
outside of the special operations community,
Mm.
soldiers aren't very well trained with empty hand combatives. What they do have are the balls, they have the courage, they have the guts, sometimes they have the experience, they have the physicality, but any dude who does jujitsu for 3 months can probably handle, 90% of the cops, maybe 80% of, reg force or reserve soldiers. It's the sad truth, right? It's
Well, but at the
On
same
the-
time, when you go to war, you don't wrestle and cuddle with each
That's
other.
right.
You
Right.
shoot
Yeah.
each other.
yeah,
I was gonna say you meant handle in terms of technical, right? Technically handle them.
yeah. I'm talking about empty hand
Yeah.
combatives, and it's so low in their priority list of training, right?
One of the
So
things I noticed was when we were helping out the Bryan Police Department in Texas, right? Who trained the most was those people, like you said, that were committed and interested. That happened, so
Yeah.
those don't count because those are just special cases. But what I noticed is that the people who would work the stuff that we were trying to get them were the weekend warriors because they knew they didn't have any background, so they worked it. Whereas the rest of them was like, I'm just going to pull my gun if I have to, and we'll be done because I got to get my job done and I got to go home and eat my
Yeah,
beans and rice.
right. And this is, I mean, like I said, especially when it comes to, soldiers, it's very low on their priority list, and they have to be trained in so many things, right? It's a really really bad day, so I've been told, when you're not utilizing your primary, you're not utilizing your secondary, you're into the empty hand stuff. It's a bad day, and so the probability of those things, happening is quite low, and so they don't spend a lot of money on it. But if you're a law enforcement officer, and this is something that I picked up from somebody like a Chad Blyman, right? You ask any cop on the beat, like, "Hey, when was the last time you discharged your firearm?" And it's like, whoa. The answer is either never or maybe 10 years ago. And then they're like, and Chad would go, "Well, but you consider yourself a gun guy? How often do you put hands on people?" And they're like, "Every day, once a week." It's like, why aren't you prioritizing that skill set over going to the range and doing static marksmanship stuff?
See, now, like my town, like we have an outdoor gun range. I know it's being used regularly because it's practically in my backyard. Most of the people haven't done DT work since the academy.
Which is insane, right?
Right,
Considering the
That's what they do more than anything else.
it's insane. It's insane.
So
But then you guys you have cops who are just like pushing this narrative, and they want things to change. Hashtag cops who train, the guys who take jujitsu, the guys who take edged weapons countermeasures classes from guys like you, guys like Jared, the guys who take extra certification for use of force and baton. The sad thing about those guys is that they're often vilified by the public because they think that they're just training to kill better. Or the opposite can be it's so far from the truth. The officers who train are the ones who have options, are the ones who are most likely to really go through that continuum of force with logic and not just I'll just shoot the guy.
I bet you the one officers that we're seeing all the issues with are the ones that don't train.
Absolutely.
We'd have to do it. We'd have to do a checkout. Now,
You use the tools you're used to using. So if you only use a couple, that's your tool bag, right?
Absolutely, right? If all you've got is a hammer, everything's a nail.
exactly. There you go. Well, and now here's another thing. Let's not pick on FMA. This is a mindset of martial artists. Period. Like a lot of times, people who are martial artists that claim to do law enforcement, it's not just the FMA guys. They all have the same thing. They don't understand. And the thing is, we talk about the boring stuff. You mean the functional stuff, the stuff that'll actually work.
Yeah.
That needs the least amount of training, which because a lot of times they're given the least amount of training.
It's also the stuff that you just need to learn a little bit of it, and then you're empowered to have the ability to keep training it outside of the control of the instructor.
Mhm.
Whereas if you do anything sophisticated or elaborate, you actually need somebody there watching you, make sure you're not developing bad habits. The boring stuff, the functional stuff, it's like boxing. Like you can learn how to do a jab cross really well from about a half an hour class from a boxing coach, and you can train those things on your own with a good training partner until the next time you're in front of the coach again.
Yeah. Hell, you could just hit a bag.
You can just
Yeah.
right. It's the boring stuff.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's good. It's good. I love that stuff. Fundamentals, man.
Well, I mean, listen. What are advanced materials? Sophisticated basics. So if you realize everything's, I mean,
Yeah.
we're doing locks and controls today. Like, guys, there's only 4 locks or controls. Now there might be endless variations of each lock, but at the end of the
Sure.
day, there's only one way to do a twist an arm. It just
Right.
how many angles are there? Yes, there are angles.
Here's a problem that I've going back to your question, Ty. Is that when a Filipino martial arts instructor or a martial arts instructor gets the opportunity to present in front of a unit, they're trying to impress the wrong person.
Mhm.
They're trying to impress the dude that's there. That's like, oh, show me the next thing. It's the guy in the back of the room assessing your performance as an instructor and judging the validity of what you teach. It's not necessarily the young active recruit who wants the next move and show me how to use a karambit. And so they get into this loop where they're just performing.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, the decision maker's like, we're never going to call this guy back again, which is another question. If you want to validate your instructor's claims of whether or not they do teach a unit, it's like, do you still teach them? Like, when was the last time you got called back? Because oftentimes, like a special forces unit will literally expose themselves to every kind of training out there, just so that they know about it, so that they have the information. And so an instructor that teaches, Ding Hua Wu, whatever, they're like, oh yeah, we got called up by SEAL Team 6. I was like, yeah, but you didn't get called back.
Right.
That was it. And that's because they just wanted to know who you were, what you were about, to see if there was anything that they might be missing within the framework of intelligence gathering when it comes to what's out there.
Window shopping doesn't count as training.
Window shopping, yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, man, we're shattering some.
There you go.
Oh, here we go.
some hearts.
Another one from Ray. You want me to read that?
Yeah, you go right ahead.
All right, Ray, thanks again. Oh, man, this is right up my alley, guys. This is a big reason a lot of people are getting shot, both stateside and overseas, in combat zones. The amount of empty hand training the military gives to line units sucks. Even the MCMAP program have gone so far down that it's a joke. I do know the 5th Special Forces Group at Fort Campbell probably has the best program for combatives right now. Keep it going, as I could watch this all night and agree with everything you're saying.
Who teaches the 5th? Ray.
You know, Ray?
No, I don't know Ray.
No,
but I know that.
That was a question, Ray. Do you know who teaches the 5th?
Yeah. Do you know who teaches the 5th?
There's a lag, but he'll post something, hopefully.
And the cool thing is that there are a lot of valid systems, and it actually varies. I think some special forces groups still have Aikido as their base, but it's like the good Aikido guy, like the knuckle dragon badass who can actually make it functional.
Well, the founder was a badass, and then people tried to do the soft version that he evolved to without doing the hard version.
Yeah, I've met some really bad mother effers who are Aikido based,
Mhm.
Not offhand, but it's from JJ.
And
Wonder what Ruben.
Ruben.
Okay, there you go. Right, and so yeah, yeah. There's a lot of nonsense going on
Yeah.
with it, but
Hey, do I hear your lovely daughter in the background? Is that Kai?
yeah, Kai. Yeah, she's probably.
Is she still doing sticks at all?
You know, a little bit with her brother. I teach her brother sometimes more. I really don't like to force them, but
Mhm.
I would do the dad thing where like I would bug her and it would end up into sort of like a wrestling match. And then
Okay.
before I know it, I'm getting clawed and punched and kicked and
How old is
scratched.
she now?
She's 10.
Well, the next time I see you, I'll do a custom pair of sticks for her.
Oh, really?
Something her size.
That would be cool. I thought Raya, you know that movie, that Raya movie?
Yeah, that was us. That's all FMA, baby.
Yeah, I thought that would fire
Dune.
her up. She's like,
Dune.
nah. She was more into the dragon part of it. Okay.
Well,
Oh, but she can fight. She's got fire, man. She
Hey,
was a
did your,
provincial champ in jiu-jitsu when she
did your
it.
kid break your finger?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're pissed and excited all at the same time that he did.
Oh yeah.
Proud.
That was a lovely run.
It's still not 100%. It was smashed, bro.
Yeah. That Canadian healthcare, you should have had it done down here.
Well, I did take it in.
Yeah, well, that's it. How's that finger looking?
It's pretty good. It's not bad. But no, I talked to a whole bunch of FMAers and they're like, yeah, this is a thing you got to deal with. There was only one time where I actually had it X-rayed, and it was definitely fractured.
Yeah,
So
no big deal.
So I know what it is and how that feels.
Yeah.
And then there was like a squeaky tendony sound every time I moved that. So you ties. Okay.
Yeah, as long as it didn't if it was a break and it was displaced, that's the issue.
Yeah.
Walk it off, man.
I know. Well, that's exactly what I heard. Tape it up, walk it off. Eventually, it'll heal.
There's not much you can do.
Yeah.
When you crack a rib, you're kind of, oh well.
Have some more of your liquid libation there.
I've
There you go.
not done that yet.
Yeah, I'm like you though. I try not to force the kids. I do have a really cool video of me working random feeds with pokes on Sinawali's with my daughter when she was 7 or 6. I got a lot of heat for that. Ooh, you're gonna, it's dangerous. Blah 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 blah.
I can't stand that stuff, man.
She was fine. It's my kid. They didn't probably realize it was my kid.
Yeah, but still, it's like, oh, they didn't realize it was your kid. Okay, that's different.
Well, who cares?
I just don't like it when parents tell other parents how to parent. There's
Right.
no, I don't know. I think it's in bad taste, in my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah. So how is this whole FMA Martial Arts Chronicles Modern Arnis thing going, guys? Like, what's
We had a great show last week.
Yeah.
Well, it was supposed to be an hour and a half, ended up at 3 hours. We talked about 4 levels of martial arts: student, teacher, master, grandmaster.
How are you guys, like, what's your status in the Modern Arnis community? Like, I have no idea. I mean, what is the Modern Arnis community? Is it fragmented? Is it like, who are you guys within the broader Modern Arnis family? Like, how do you think you're perceived?
I'll be right back. I'm going to let you tackle that one
How
first.
did we get here? We're on a.
So
A
I can still
sidebar,
hear
that's
you,
cool.
by the way. Hold
There you go. We're on a sidebar. That's good. That's a funny question. So I don't know. So actually, why don't I give you a little bit of background? That way you'll sort of know where I'm coming from. So I came up with Professor in the 90s, right? Had 8 years with him. And then he passed, of course. And then people started acting like a bunch of goobers. Even though they all loved him, loved the art. The only reason we were all together is because of him, right? But after that, when that was starting to distract things, I said, okay, yeah, you guys go over there. I'm going to go over here and train and teach and practice and do stuff and call me when it calms down. So
Did it happen right away, like after Professor passed?
1 or 2 years, it reached a head, at least for me. It was a little bit weird, but I expected that, right? Because it was before nobody planned for this, right?
So he didn't delegate an heir. There was no.
That's another story. So there is a will. And then that
Okay.
got superseded by something that different people feel different things about, right? With the Masters Tappy Tappy, and then taking over IMAF and that kind of good stuff. So there's a couple branches there that you could have gone down, and then people disagree on how that was supposed to go forward. Anyway, that all happened, and it was starting to reach ahead, and I became a hermit for a while, and then came back, 8 years ago? I don't know. I ran across Tim at a local event here, and it was like old times. I just met him once down in Texas. That's where I came up. And it was like old times. I'm like, okay, well, I'll ease back out of my shell and start getting along. So
So it was
anyway.
one big happy family. Professor passed away, and then within 1 or 2 years, it got to the point where you didn't want to get involved because there were power plays happening, and people were just cannibalistic and cutthroaty.
That's one way of describing it. Yeah, I
Who
wouldn't
were
say
the
that
major players?
I wouldn't
who-
say
who-
that we're a happy family before he died, though. There were some weirdnesses,
Okay.
but he drove that ship, and it worked out fine, right? Because that can happen.
So
Hmm.
Jeremy says dysfunctional family
Yep.
reminds me of home.
Right.
Larry, I'm making extra popcorn for this answer.
That's right.
Ray,
What was there ever Professor Remy students who were American versus Professor Remy students who remained in the Philippines kind of battle? Hold on. I'm gonna turn this off. This is bugging me.
So,
Was that ever a thing? Where it's like who spent the most time and who really knows him?
once he left the
that would,
Philippines,
that would be me.
once he left the Philippines, though, I mean, that they were over there and he was over here, so his brothers kept on and migrated and developed and evolved their own way.
Was he big in the Philippines?
Yeah, he got it.
He saved
the
Ernest in the Philippines.
And then he went to America.
Here's a story there.
Yeah, there's a story there.
Oh shoot! I'm sorry, guys. This seems like
No.
seems
he
like a
left-
rabbit hole.
Okay, so I'll give you mine real quick, and then we can do the other start. So I started in martial arts unofficially at 80, backyard nonsense, nothing legit. My first legitimate martial art was Modern Arnis, and I did it as a standalone program. The school was one that Remy was a silent partner in. So most people do Modern Arnis as the art within your art, but it could also be done as your art, and that's how I learned it.
Oh,
So
that sounds like that's. I mean, okay. Is that how he taught it? As an art within the art, like how?
that's how he did it in the States, because he could.
Ah.
Okay, in the Philippines, people would switch systems if they thought it was a better program. But when you've invested 10, 20 years in a martial system, you wouldn't quit that system.
Smart.
You know, so he started in the 80s. Actually, got it Modern East, the art within your art.
Right.
See, I honestly have nothing good but good relations with interactions with the first gen.
Are you a first gen?
Yeah.
Are you a first gen?
So Ty and I both started similar. We started with somebody else. So I started with John Bryant, the late John Bryant. I went up. Remy uses a belting system. Some systems do, some systems don't. Modern does. So I got a brown belt, and I had a falling out with my instructor, but he was also in the process of leaving the art, selling the school, getting out of it completely.
Yeah.
What
happened to Ty?
I don't know. He
Okay.
probably
Anyway,
chimed
sorry.
out like I did. I'll see what's going on here. I'll send him a message.
Hey, by the way, if you have to leave, sorry, I'm assuming it's cool.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I'm still there. Okay. He just. Oh, I don't go to bed till 3 a.m. after shows like this. He just logged out. Now hold on here. Do I need to send you an invite, or are you still good with the old one? Oh, there he is. Just as I was sending him the message, I'm still going to send it to him because
I just used the old one. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I clicked on the comments, and then boom, the window crashed.
So I left, and then Remy reached out to me directly and said, "Tim, if you want to study, you'll be my student." I'm like, "Okay." As a 21-year-old brown belt or 22-year-old brown belt, that was a no-brainer for me. The grandmaster reached out to me. Yeah, I'm still staying in.
Yeah.
So I pretty much, up until the time Remy died, I met him as me being a teenager. So I knew him my entire adult life.
Was he universally loved, or did people hate him while he was still alive?
Okay, so others. Okay, the people that. Okay, he had issues in the Philippines, which is why he came here because political nonsense, and he fled for his life, literally.
Oh, relating to Filipino martial arts?
Yeah, okay. Remy had diplomatic papers as a goodwill ambassador for the Philippines, teaching their martial culture around the world. Now, Remy was unique. I mean, not only could he do demos, he was one of Anchon Bacon's top fighters. I mean, this guy was a
Oh,
serious fighter. And Balintawak, which is why we hang with the Balintawak guys, was the last art Remy trained before forming Modern. So
wow, I didn't know that. That's
Oh,
why you're tight with like GM Bobby and
Yeah.
like the Balita Walk crew.
yeah. So I mean, Remy. Okay,
Oh,
did Bobby ever tell you the Remy story
He did.
about
He
the
did.
ring, right?
Yeah, about the ring and how he. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
So
drinking with GM Bobby. That guy's a cool cat, man.
yeah, and
Wine and Diet Coke.
yeah. So yeah, exactly. So you know, so I seek out my roots, and that's why I do. You know, there's a lot of things. You know, like Remy was the first one that gave me a lesson on my Sikaran, and it was funny when I did Sikaran up in Toronto. The first lesson was the same thing that Remy taught me. So he told me there's Kun Tao. Unfortunately, the guy who did that. Oh, look who's here,
Maria. Hey, Maria.
Do we want to invite Maria on the
What's
show
up?
too? Oh, Bobby
Bobby the Blood. Who's that?
That Bob. Okay, so Sam.
Holy! First of all, thank you guys for giving me the modern Arnis education, right?
Okay.
Because it's one of those systems that you always hear about. I know nothing about. Like I don't know the relationship between modern Arnis and Combatan, and why people teach double stick first, and Remy and Ernesto, and its relationship to Balintawak. I was never truly interested in modern Arnis, but I always knew that eventually I have to learn about it, and I have to learn the process. But it was always something that was in the periphery. Somebody would show me a modern Arnis thing.
It's got touching a lot of things you wouldn't realize, like even SIOC and FCS and some other things.
Yeah. This is my perception of modern Arnis is like this.
Have you done much with Ray
Ginaldo?
Yeah.
So I learned some FCS through Sean Tyler and Anthony Reyes here in Toronto.
Puño Mano program.
So I learned where I saw functional Puño Mano was when I saw Ernie Lake fight in the PTTA, and he was smashing dudes on the inside. What I know about it are these, I think maybe 5 sets of drills that are probably some of the most fun friggin' drills that I ever did. Were these FCS Puño Mano drills? Well, they're just incredible.
The core of that is Remy's Tappy Tappy. Remy's second tier Tappy Tappy, the Solo Bastan. So here's the thing. Remy is the master mixologist. He's Tom Cruise. It's cocktail.
Okay? I love him.
Mad skills.
Wow.
But what he would do is say, okay, you're a karate guy, Ty's a kung fu guy. Okay, Ty and I learned differently than the others. We learned it as standalone programs. So I don't do what the others do. I don't move like the others do. And Ty will tell you about that because if do you do your jack straight? I'm jack straight up. Okay. But then there's jack with Coke, maybe that's karate. Maybe there's jack with something else, and that's kung fu. Maybe there's jack with jiu-jitsu, that's something else. So what Remy would do is say, hey, listen, you come from a striking style, Paulo. I'm not going to teach you how to strike, but I might teach you how to implement strikes in the stick work while we're at it. Okay, you're a lock guy or a jiu-jitsu guy. Okay, I'm going to show you the sticks. I'm not going to teach you how to lock, but I will show you how to apply your locks with that stick. Yeah. And he would go through and he would show how he would apply striking that he would do, blocking and stuff like that. But he would tailor it to what your taste would be. So the only full-time modern Arnis there's only 2 full-time modern Arnis schools as a standalone program. The Filipino Karate Academy, ran by John Bryant, where I came from, and Horizon Martial Arts, which is my school. Everyone else has done it as a blended program. And hello, Bob from Chicago.
What's up, Bob? Well, so okay, let me be frank about this. When you say this, right?
Okay.
Okay. there is a certain kind of prestige that I think you wish to project with saying that you learned it pure, that you're not, because you can say you're adding Coke and ice or whatever, but some people might see that as watering down. I don't see it that way. I think it's a brand new drink. When you, right? I think it's a brand new drink when you have Coke in your whiskey. But other people might go, damn it, Tim is saying that ours is watered down and his is pure. So you must come across people who don't like you for speaking this truth, because
Yeah.
it is a truth, right? This
Yes.
is not a
Okay, so everyone's allowed their opinion, but you're not allowed your own truth. The truth is the truth.
right.
So
And Ty, you learned also in the same way, in that you learned modern Arnis independent of
all my punching, kicking, locking, throwing comes from Remy's teachings. Remy had it all, but most people didn't learn it because they would. Okay, I am the only person today that I know of teaching the art, Remy's teachings, that has ever done it as his primary system, starting in that.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question then. Did Remy train karate?
He did.
So then, is it possible that your pure modern Arnis is influenced by karate already?
Never said it wasn't.
Yep.
But the thing here is,
Okay.
Remy made the system. Okay, so I did it from Remy's. Okay, here we go.
You understand what I'm saying, right?
Wait for it. I know exactly what you're saying. Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. Wait for it.
Okay.
NSI. Kelly Warden is doing exactly what Remy did, but different.
Right.
Okay. Kelly puts his own blend together. He uses elements from all these other things. Is he teaching those other things, or is he teaching you the blend?
Yeah, but if Remy teaches a blend, then it's splitting hairs.
Remy came up with his own synthesis. So he crossed. Modern Arnis is Filipino Jeet Kune Do, for lack of a better term.
Okay. I like
He
that.
traveled the Philippines, and as far as the karate goes, it was really just the forms. Their karate influence, because what he saw, one of the reasons why they call it modern Arnis, aka Filipino karate, because at the time he did this in 1957, Filipino martial arts were dying. People would rather do karate, which is crazy. After World War II, you would think that the Filipinos, after that whole thing, they'd want anything to do with Japanese martial arts. But the thing here is, it was a worker, a blue collar type community. And if you got hurt doing stick fighting, you couldn't provide for your family. And how many times I can't tell you how many times, so my Balintwa comes from Ted Buot, which was Sam Buot's nephew. Ted Buot used to teach for Anshan Bakan. So he tells stories about people not being able to work after training. Well, if you have to provide for your family, Arnis becomes less appealing, and karate, where you could practice katas and stuff all day long,
Right.
and it ended up being, FMA is, even today with the Arnis bill, is FMA the primary system being taught? We know that the sport of the art is being taught a lot, but is the art being taught a lot?
Hey, I want to quickly go back to this idea of modern Arnis being the JKD of FMA. So we know that JKD has two distinct lines. One is the JKD concepts, who people who believe that do what Bruce Lee did, and then there's a group that says do what Bruce Lee specifically did, which was to learn Junfan, which was to do you see that correlation? Then are you the modern Arnis that isn't concepts? You're the modern Arnis that stays true to what the path of Bruce Lee actually took.
So I do the techniques that Remy taught me. I can trace it back and show you what he taught. I can show you the evolution of what he did over time. And I feel that I've evolved with time while still keeping the spirit of what he taught.
Oh, wait a minute. That's you want to have your cake and eat it too. Like that's
Damn
hard. I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible, right? Because I definitely think that it is possible.
But I've changed delivery systems as an example. So
Right.
we have the 12 angles of attack, which are, by the way, the Balintwa 12 angles of attack done in a slightly different sequence. I'm pretty sure Remy got the angles of attack from Balintwa. So besides 1 and 2, the rest of the angles are flipped.
Gotcha.
Okay. So what I do now for beginners is I teach the 7 strikes: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the first of the thrusts, 8. For a beginner, they don't need palm down, palm up thrust. They don't need the hooking thrusts, because that a lot of people don't get that. If we're talking, because I teach martial, okay, Remy taught Filipino concepts for street defense. So, like you said with law enforcement, the boring stuff, that's what Remy emphasized, because his art wasn't about the lower levels, were not about teaching fighters. And actually, what he did with the cross-training people, how to enhance your art with Filipino concepts without compromising the integrity of that base system. I didn't have a base system, so he just taught me how to build on it. Yes, there is a karate influence. There's no question. But he's the one that put it in. I didn't put it in. It's already there. I took what he gave me, and I've evolved, like things like that Panantukan pad drill that you like, the double Sinwali.
It was a specific motion in that pad drill, by the way. It was a specific way that you held that pad that I thought, that's interesting.
Because it was a Sinwali, and it was one of Remy's Sinwali. Now I got that elsewhere. I didn't create that, but I took the ball and I ran with it. I made it my own.
Sure.
I've looked at other arts. Like Remy did this thing called up and down, and he would just smash you when you're doing abanicos. But I was hanging out with Topher Ricketts, and he actually did it as a spine of the blade.
Yeah, like a luau.
And then you can cut. So I now teach that application.
Yeah.
Because it still keeps the concept of what we're going. Okay, Don McGuire, what you got? Traditional aspects of mixed martial arts are being rare, moving away from base system. Okay.
Wait, what is that? What? I don't know. Traditional aspects of mixed martial arts are becoming rare. Why are practitioners moving away from the base system? It's an interesting question. I don't know if I fully understand that. Oh man.
Well, everyone's cross training. Maybe that's the whole idea. And why are people not sticking? I think most systems have what you have in it. Just people don't train for all the scenarios, all the reference points.
Do you think? I find this.
Talk about teaching law enforcement.
I find this with every system is that, and I'm just going to speak very bluntly here, right? Because all of these legends in the Filipino martial arts, right? They're not so far removed from us. They passed away 10 years ago. They passed away 15 years ago, right? 20 years ago. They're not so far removed. Mm-hmm. And so what I think people are doing now in FMA is they're trying to propose how close they were to those people. And I think because there is a big group of people who want that connection to the Bruce Lee.
Now, what do you mean close in what way?
So, for example, I'm going to speak about Pikiti Tersha, right, and the Grand Tuhon Leo Gahe. Mm-hmm. The folks who are, the higher level instructors within the Pikiti Tersha, they love to say that. I mean, there's this like internal thing about who trained with him most, and who trained with him when, and at what point in his development as the Grand Tuhon did you train with him the most? And there's this internal, sometimes passive-aggressive fight about who really holds the pure system and who really has the truth of what the system is. And I think that is a symptom of the demand of students to want certainty, to want the closest thing to Bruce Lee as I can possibly get. And because I think, and there's a theory, is that it gives them comfort, right? Mm-hmm. It gives them comfort to know that I'm spending this time and money. I want to know that I'm learning from as close to Bruce Lee as I can.
I get you.
Right? And so that puts instructors in this chess match where they ought to be of the same side. They're actually cannibalizing each other and they're fighting amongst each other. I imagine an art like Modern Ernest has that.
Well, yeah,
I imagine.
it
right?
does.
You should have just replaced all of your Pikiti Tertia words with modern ace, and it would have been just fine.
It would have been just fine, right?
The-
And so, like, how do we actually? And I think we're actually approaching a new era. A new era, in that we have an opportunity to have a platform to revalidate and not rely on past glories, and to right, like, I know, Tim, you worked hard to create, and maybe you still do, to create testing platforms. You know what I mean? To have an arena for Philippines. You work something about, look, man, I didn't like you at first. You know, you were confident, right? You had white hair. You you knew what you were talking about. But the more time I spent with you, I was like, yo, this dude loves FMA. This dude is demonstrable with how much he loves it. This guy clearly knows what he's talking about. You still get uncomfortable and spar with these younger dudes. You honor your instructors, and I can tell that when you speak in these terms, yeah, a part of it is for you, but a part of it is to preserve Professor's legacy. You know what I mean? And so this is like sounding so romantic. I slowly became a fan of you. But I can also understand where you live in Buffalo, man. Like, we saw each other many times. You judged some of my fights, or a couple of my fights, and I see you grinding, and I see you working, and I see how proud you are. I'm lucky in that I have this opportunity, right? What do you want to see for modern Ernie's, for real? Like, when you can't barely move, when you have to hang up the sticks, and then you're literally just teaching the next generation. Like, how would you like the people who are under you to carry on this art?
Well, I right now I don't know about that. Don, we'll get back to your question in a minute here. I don't want to blow that off because this is a good question.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying, right? Like, your passion,
no, I know. I just,
like, it shows. It's demonstrable.
The problem. There's a lot of issues. I'm more concerned if there's going to be another generation right now.
There is going to be.
Well,
Sure.
well. Here's the problem. I don't know, and I don't think people realize this as much. Modern Ernie's has lost a lot of people, I think, and Remy's organization was at one time one of, if not the largest organization for Filipino martial arts, whether it was blended or not, that was out there. It was global. Since his passing, that organization is, in my opinion, it's dying, if not already dead. Last time I heard, there's less than 20 people on the books. Now, our organization, the World Modern East Alliance, we've been doing well. We've been going, and I needed Remy's will talks about that this was his life passion, and it's become mine. I mean, this is all I do. This is all I do. And I look at that, and I needed everybody, every group out there to be successful and promote people, because I want to see this carry on to that next group of people. And yeah, I know I'm going to have people that are going to carry this on, but we need a big gene pool because we've lost so many people. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, Ty, what are you thinking on that right now? I mean,
I'm sort of on the same line. There needs to be some sort, right? Some sort of people carrying on Remy's art in their own way is better than not. I would like to have it carried on as well as it could be, and so I have some ideas about that, right? When you cross hands with a person and you know them, but that's the key is and so I don't know, so one of the things I do is I go and I try to support all of the Modern East groups I can get a hold of. in one way, shape, or the form or the other, and I'll
I
play.
didn't know that.
Yeah, so I've been to IMAF events, I've been to Bruce Chu events, I've been to Hall of Flame events, just one thing after the other, and I don't, I just show up to help support, right? I'm not there to. It's not about me, right? Not
Is there a way to have all of the first gens sitting at the same table?
No.
See, they thought that way about Bikini Tersha.
No, because I did the 10-year anniversary camp.
Yeah, you couldn't do it.
No, I did it.
You did do it.
I did it. It was successful.
You got all of them?
I got
the first
all,
gens?
I got almost all of them. And you know what happened? As
You
soon
know.
as my wallet closed, they all disappeared.
How long ago was that?
That was 10 years ago at the 10-year anniversary.
Well, a lot can change in a decade.
Yeah, it got worse.
Well,
And Ty will tell you about it. This is not my.
but I don't think it, man. See, I come across this all the time in FMA communities. It's the same story. Ty, you alluded to this, where I could have said the same thing about Modern Anise as I did with Bikini. It's the
Right.
same damn story that I keep hearing about all of these factions, and it's like people. There's people who tried. It almost got there. Fucking shit fell apart, and nobody wants to try again. And so.
So one of the things I stress is the reason I go that is about the students, about the style. But one of the other things is I try to identify. I'm greedy bastard. I want everything that everybody might have seen that Remy did, so I can have it. So I go and support all these groups, and that's genuine and true.
Yeah,
But I also do it because now I can get a piece of the puzzle. Because if whenever
Love
I
it.
saw Remy,
love it.
I saw something, I learned something new. Even if I look at my old personal recordings of him, I see, oh wow. So when then I talked to Tim and he saw this, I can't say I never saw. I could say I never saw him do that, but that's
Right.
immaterial. What matters is you saw him did this. What was happening? Can I understand that? Whether or not I like it, I can at least have that in my bag and use something with it.
There's a guy that's like there's a few guys like you in the Bikini Tersha world, and because I'm a Bikini Tertians,
Mhm.
I'm gathering sort of those kinds of people
Mhm.
to document for posterity, and regardless of who gets to control it, somebody like a Grand Tuhan Leo Gahe, somebody like Professor Remy Presas, as amazing as they are, it's almost impossible to contain the depth and breadth of their knowledge within one human vessel. And that's why they train so many different people and invested time.
Mhm.
And so you almost have to see Modern Arnis as a puzzle, and that all of these people have pieces to this puzzle. Some interlap, but you need to be all together to put it all together.
You're
And I-
preaching to the choir. I mean,
Right,
So-
right.
we've said this. I've said this specifically on the
Right.
show.
Oh, really?
Oh no. Okay.
Okay.
I'm just saying that this bullshit isn't going to happen. But listen, this is what I say, and Ty will call bullshit on me, and anyone who watches the show will call bullshit on me. I arguably have seen. I don't think anyone spent more time with Remy in the States other than myself on the floor. Since 1985 up until he passed away, or until he got diagnosed. I was with him when he got diagnosed with his brain tumor in Germany.
Yeah, but you'd also be the same guy who would agree that it's not the amount of time, but the quality of time you do something that
No,
matters. Right?
stop. Hold on. Wait. Listen. I go. The thing here is that I saw more than anyone else, and every time I saw him, I learned something new, which makes me wonder what I missed. Which is why it's important for us all to pull together.
Yeah.
How much have we lost? Now, the thing here is this: when you have people who have been, for lack of a better term, they became a instructor, and they were only instructor for 5 years before Remy died, and then try to tell the rest of the community who's been there longer that we supersede you because of a silly little title.
Yeah.
Our numerical rank is beneath you, but our title supersedes you. But wait a minute, you needed the rank to get the title. And wait a minute, in Remy's will, people like myself were named, but were never brought to the table. And all these things that happen, and they forget about it. They let it go aside because I hosted this event. And then once the event goes away, these guys don't reciprocate because they're just looking for a payday. And they trash talk. And once again, like I got into a stupid thing about rules of movement. It's a phrase I use. Rules of movement. Remy's rules of movement. And it became this stupid little pissing contest between me and one of the people here in the States. And then, like, and this person went out of his way to look all these articles and things that I've said. And in this video here, at 1 minute and 35 seconds, you said this. And like, you're going a long way for me to say, out of the way to say, you don't agree with me. I mean, and this is just one of many people. I say black, someone's going to say it's red. And I,
Yeah.
you know, and the thing here is this. I've been more than happy to come to the table and talk to these people. And Ty will tell you, I'm the one that's hosting these events. I've done it time and time again, inviting people, but it's the scorpion and the frog. And this
Right.
frog is getting sick of being stung all the time by the same damn assholes who don't have the balls to say shit to my face.
Can I share something from my experiences in Pikiti Tersha?
It better be good. Okay.
And yeah, just receive this with an open heart. Unity can't, that because of how far down this has degraded. The movement for unity cannot come internally. It can't be from one of the players. It cannot be from one of the factions. It's never going to work. It needs to. And look, I'm not. I'm trying not to get into this, but the reason I've been, the reason I've had some success in being an element of uniting Pikiti Tersha is because I was external to it.
Oh, I got you.
Right? And so here's the thing. There are people, there's a Tim Hartman in PTK who I can say loves the art, loved the Grandmaster, wants the best for it, but despite his best efforts, can never be the guy to be the bridge because there will always appear to be unity under a Tim. These people are never going to let go of these past transgressions. They're never going to let go of the scars. And so unity is almost an impossibility if it's called upon by one of the clan members. Because there's always going to be that underlying feeling of, you know, what, in other words, trying to, that scar is never fully healed, right? And while I can see your intentions, I can see your motivations, I know your passion, I know you want this, but you cannot be that guy. It's never going to be you. It's never going to be Kelly. It's never going to be Shishir. It's never going to be anybody who is a first gen. It's never going to be anybody from inside. It's going to be somebody new who falls in love with modern Anise and sees value in all of you and goes, wait a minute, guys. Yeah. What the fuck are you guys doing? If you all want the best, you all want to honor Professor Remy. Man, I was near tears when I was at Datu Kelly's NSI event because of the prayers that he said and how he just gathered everybody and paused for a moment and just spoke of Professor. And I know you, that's only two pieces of this puzzle that I've had personal connection to that I know deep down in my heart, like, this is everything, you know? I mean, you guys love this man so damn much, and you actually are in positions where you can express this art beyond yourselves and beyond your egos, and you both have this intention to want to leave modern Anise for future generations when y'all are dead. And then there's just modern Anise left. And I know you all want a part of having that unity, but it's just impossible to really, for it to come from internally. Tim, you understand what I'm saying, right?
I understand. Okay.
Like, you can never have an event that pays them well enough, that has the best food, that is organized enough for this to actually work. That's not the solution. In my opinion, I think it needs to be somebody who discovers this art and ends up loving it and goes, oh my God, Tim's 90. Friggin' Datu is, 89. And it's like, geez. So let's not wait till it gets that damn far. You know what I'm saying? And this is why I want to uplift the social media side of friggin' FMA, is because somebody is going to follow in my footsteps and be like, yo, you see what that motherfucker did? Like, He came into it 5 years, fought a whole bunch of times, tried to gain an understanding, and then was able to bring something. And I think if modern Ernest can have that, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Modern Ernest is gonna live forever, bro. It's not gonna be one of those arts that just fizzles out.
If
and is
we had
forgotten.
the gene pool that Pikiti had at the moment, that would be a different story because Pikiti got one thing right. I give Pikiti credit for stuff. See, the problem here is everyone starts rebranding. Pikiti kept the name. Everyone went in different directions, and there's still Pikiti Tertia.
Yeah, but Grand Tuon's still alive.
Right, but he didn't create the art.
No, I mean that's arguable. But I think,
although all the guys say, if it wasn't for him, no matter what the issues are, if it wasn't for him, Pikiti wouldn't be what it is today.
And Pikiti is like, it's weird. I look at Pikiti and I'm like, what the hell is this thing? And so I don't know, man. Like I want to learn modern Ernest. I want to fight with it. I want to find something that is I can go like, that's unique, because I've been able to find unique Pikiti elements and unique Balintawak elements and unique KI elements and unique Estacado de Campo elements, and I honor those systems when I smash dudes in the face with it. And so like I haven't yet come up. I've not yet discovered a tool that I'm like, that was a modern Ernest thing.
Speaking of Pikiti, by the way,
yeah,
Pikiti Tertia's next generation event will be here in Buffalo.
Oh,
next September.
And when is what? What?
Because I'm the outside guy hosting it.
So you know what I'm talking about, Tim. This is beautiful. So
I got Jack Lecor, Tuan Arlene, and Chris Mendigma so far.
Oh, damn. Okay, so you got Tuan Arlene, who's pretty dope. She's super technical. You got Jack Latorre. You got Chris Mendigma.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's what I got so far.
And so what's the Pikiti Tertia International?
I just needed an extra logo to fill it out. I'm hoping that who's going to take that spot. I asked Belton to be part of it. Belton. I asked him to be the.
But Belton's a free bird. He's loyal to the Grand Tuhan, but Belton
I was inviting him to represent Grand Tuhan. So this is Pikiti Tertia's next generation, the next tier up. Not the I didn't want the heads. I wanted the next generation. So, Jack, Chris, Arlene.
Well, I'll tell you this, and Chris Mendigma is my homeboy. I love him. But I mean, he still has to earn his stripes. He's more Tricom. He's more the law enforcement side.
That's okay.
He's good. He's good. You know who I would recommend for that?
Well, no,
sorry.
Him and Jack want to do something together. That's why I was putting this together.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not trying to circumvent my own homeboy. But you know what I mean? Like Chris's understanding of Pikiti Tertia is less than his understanding of Tricom. He's a Tricom master instructor, which is a distilled Pikiti Tertia,
which is fine. It's gonna bring different things to the table.
Okay.
When I did the reunion camp for Modern Ernest, the 10-year, I made sure that we all agreed what we were going to teach, so we didn't have overlap. And if someone wanted it, one of the things I did was I did my EDT program, which I share in the Law Enforcement Academy.
Okay.
Which is Modern Ernest concepts for LEOs.
Yeah, well then Chris definitely has that. He's got a distilled Pikiti Tertia to be able to teach things like baton tactics, and countermeasures.
Apollo, Modern Ernest is going to live on. I'm hoping that, but let's put it this way: I don't want the branches that are about to die off to go.
Cool, man.
There's certain. See, that was the thing is like, and then unnecessary rebranding. I'm like, listen, Tricom is a distilled thing, but it comes from it. And the people who do Tricom, do they also do Pikiti?
Some of them, yeah. Mostly, no.
Okay.
Mostly, Tricom is a legitimate law enforcement and military.
Okay, so there we go. Okay, so
and Pikiti is one out of 3 or 4 pillars of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so when Jared put that together, he wasn't trying to compete with Pikiti. He was trying to take those concepts and apply it to LEOs.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the brilliance of Jared is he's been able to like really well delineate the
Yeah.
art of Pikiti Tersha from the elements that he's integrated into the Tricom system.
See,
Which
my
is
thing
super
is that
good.
a lot of things have gone into other things where it's other brands and stuff like that. I mean, to be
Here's the thing, bro. It's a double-edged sword because you're probably the same kind of guy that says, "Well, you changed Professor's system so much that you shouldn't call it modern earnings," because that happens, right? That
I,
happens, and it's like,
well, no, I wouldn't even say that. Actually, they're the one that tell me that.
"Oh yeah, oh yes, yeah, 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 I know,
I'm the one because
yeah, yeah," because you've changed it, yeah,
because
right. But you would agree with that philosophy,
with what?
Sometimes. So
Yeah, well-
we've had this discussion before, and so one of the things is two of the ones I can think of where they've changed the name. Tim has made the point that hey, it's just that's just modern Arnis. Everything they're doing is modern Arnis. Why change the name? So Tim said that.
There's
Okay.
unnecessary rebranding. So listen, so with the rebranding stuff. Let's Braces Arnis became a topic.
sure,
Okay. So I am certified underneath Remy and Ernesto.
okay,
Good terms on both, which not a lot of people had that dual certification, as opposed to I burnt my bridges with one and I went to the other. That's happened. But the thing here is I teach modern as a standalone program. I teach Kombatan as well. I can teach Balintwalk as a standalone program. Now, Balintwalk specifically is stick dueling, so it's not it's not a complete system in the sense of having a school that of Balintawak specifically would suit the public's needs because there's no open hand combatives in Balintawak. You can do a couple applications here and there, and Bobby's slap the
yeah, that's a
parry
great drill.
Yeah, well, and that's actually modern Eastern Wally boxing, which I'm pretty sure Remy glommed from Bobby. But the thing here is, if you go by Balintawak, which I trained the original style through Ted Buat, and I go under my brand of a Stig because I use a different delivery system, but I'm part of the because I take cues from Bobby in the group methodology, but Anshan didn't do grouped; he did the ungrouped, but the thing here is the Balintawak that it's just not a standalone program for.
I just think that you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't in FMA.
Yeah.
Hey, you modified it. You should change the name. Or it's like, oh, that's not modified enough. You shouldn't have changed the name. It's
well,
people
listen,
have opinions, bro. And
I went to Braces Arnis for two reasons. One of which was that I've always done Modern Arnis Plus, which is Modern Arnis straight up, because most of the people, so people who train Modern Arnis generally do karate 5 days a week and Arnis one class a week. Ty, right or wrong?
It's pretty much how it goes.
so wait,
Or
say
how
that
it
again. Say that again. That sentence alone.
Okay, so the people who claim to be leaders in Modern Arnis
teach karate,
taekwondo, fill in the blank, as a primary art, and Modern Arnis is their secondary or tertiary system that they only practice maybe one or two classes a week.
But here's a challenge for you.
Okay.
Say something positive about that, relating to Professor Remy Braces.
Well, if we talk about getting it's a double-edged sword. The good thing is that the concepts are being out there. The bad thing is that the problem with the systems is after Remy passed away and people saw the politics, like someone who, if you train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which I train BJJ, if I bring that to my students and I teach them BJJ concepts in my curriculum, it doesn't help the growth of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now, it may round out my program, but if I don't give it, but a lot of people, what they did is when Remy died, they backed away and they just absorbed that into their main curriculum. And now Modern Arnis has less. I mean, people always treat it as an add-on. So
may I challenge that? If I taught a system of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and 5 days a week I taught wrestling and boxing, and then I focused on Saturday Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I created monsters in FMA in MMA, that's a good thing for my jiu-jitsu system, wouldn't it? If there was Rubio Jiu-Jitsu, and I was the head of Rubio Jiu-Jitsu, and I made my students 5 days a week learn wrestling and boxing, and then on Saturday I would focus what they learned and did jiu-jitsu, I would create monsters in MMA, and on the back of their shirts, it wouldn't say wrestling, it wouldn't say boxing, it would say Rubio Jiu-Jitsu. That's good for Rubio Jiu-Jitsu.
Unfortunately,
Yes.
people didn't take that approach to Modern East.
Okay, well, but you get what I'm saying, right? There's a positive, there's a pathway for that thing to not be such a bad thing.
Yeah.
Because karate's badass, right? Like, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, if it was a Shotokan karate, and I was saying I'm teaching modern East, but these guys did Shotokan karate, or what's another badass line of karate?
It's the other direction though. So they're mainly teaching karate, right? And then they're adding some FMA concepts from modern East, and then modern doesn't get mentioned anymore.
Okay. Well, that's one way to look at it. But
that's what's happened.
Okay.
That's the problem. We've lost a lot of people because of that. Because
so my example is like the good, maybe 1 in 100 positive iteration of that process.
Yeah, there are places that are still mentioning it, or it's part of the it's seeable. If that's, I think your point is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and of course, Bob, the art should evolve. We didn't say it doesn't, but the problem is people aren't putting the time to make it evolve. And as Jeremy put, the problem is that the art's not growing as a system, and that's really the main issue here.
The problem is it's not growing
as a system. It's
yeah.
We are losing modern. I mean, COVID didn't help. COVID put the nail in the coffin, but it was already going long before COVID. The thing here is that when modern Arnis is being treated as a secondary or tertiary system, okay, Ty.
I think
does this happen to you, Ty? Oh, are you sure you do modern Arnis? You actually move good. Would you say that that happens a lot?
Something like that has happened plenty of times, yes.
Or
they didn't think that you couldn't.
Modern Arnis people. Okay, I don't know if it was. I think it was yours. Yes, it was you. You had Bill McGrath during you have this ability of getting these gems out of people on your show. So whenever possible, listen to Paulo. He'll drive you crazy when he's smoking. He'll drive you even crazier when he's drinking. And he's swearing as like a truck driver. But the thing is, he's get these gems. And here we go. And I took this from you, and I'm giving you credit right now, but you put it out to the public so it's not stealing, because I didn't brain surgery it out of you.
Okay.
When you were talking to Bill McGrath,
yeah,
and he said these people have to take their FMA training wheels off. Modern these people never did. They have always just added. Okay, let's put it this way: if you did karate all the time, and all you did was 12 angles of attack and a couple disarms, but the rest of the week you're all training your forearms, your katas, your sparring, and all this other stuff. But you do a couple sinwalis and you do the angles of attack. That's the problem. What we have in modern Arnis. And then Remy would promote people, which is based on a hybrid system. So their rank wasn't an FM. Oh, you're black belt modern East. Well, how come these 5 guys don't look alike? Well, because this is modern karate. This is modern jiu-jitsu. This is modern kung fu. This is modern tang sudo. This is modern taekwondo, blah, blah, blah. So a good chunk of their rank was being based on their original system, not on their accomplishments as a Filipino martial art, but as a cross-training program. So the university, think about going to college. You take the bullshit classes the first 2 years. You need X amount of credit hours to pass. Well, they didn't care what the hell the credit hours in. You just need to get your shit in.
So a lot of places are teaching modern don't even have a curriculum for say modern portion, modern module, modern.
Oh, look at he's looking at stuff. So
here's what I wanted to share with you guys my screen, and all I did was I went because I don't really search this stuff, but I just typed in modern Arnis
Right.
on YouTube,
Mhm.
right? So if anyone decides to type in just modern Arnis on YouTube, let's look. We have this Ray Tag Nomad with
Which
1.
drives me crazy. He's got the most views, but the worst video.
Okay,
But God bless him. He got the word out. He's got 1 million views.
okay, but this is not good representation in your opinion, or
No.
okay.
Modern Arnis is an aerobic sport. It's not combat.
Oh geez. Okay, so
He's just
stuff
a kid
like
doing
this-
some twirling.
Can I keep scrolling here?
Yeah, go ahead.
We have DVD Modern Anise with Master Samuel Bambit Dulai.
Mostly combatant. Because
Okay.
Ernesto used to call it Modern Arnis at one time until he changed it. And when you see him, he's trying to promote the Remy banner, but he's doing
Okay.
it on Ernesto's material.
Okay.
And when you put a Ferrari logo on a Lamborghini, it's still a Lamborghini.
Okay. I like how you frame that because you're not saying like
No.
Okay.
Hey, listen, if you're saying
Okay.
you're doing a certain brand, you should be doing that brand.
Okay. Then we got Modern Arnis Designs, Professor Remy Presses,
Yep, that's Remy.
and then
Two
okay.
of the old
so-
videos, yeah.
It's funny, right? Like he's number 3 and 4.
And for the record, as much as I think any footage of Remy out there is good, but there's no good footage of Remy out there because Remy was a feel, not a. It's not like if you watch Guru Dan, I've worked with
Yeah.
Guru Dan.
I know what you
There's
mean.
no question. You watch him, you feel him. It's all the same. Remy's that guy that he touches you and you feel it in your toes.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And some people are great one-on-one, like in-person presenters, and others are great on camera. Sometimes people are both. But isn't this interesting? We got Professor Dan Anderson, Super Dan that I met at NSI, and we got Guru Chris Chu, and then we got you. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got you on the 7th spot and the 8th spot. And then who's this guy? Who's this dude?
I can't see it below. Modern Niece. I don't know who that guy
All right,
is.
so you're there. You're part of like the general conversation. We got Modern Niece disarming techniques. We got another Bruce Chu, Modern Niece basics, and then
There's Ty.
where?
Oh, the
Oh,
yellow
that's
guy.
Ty.
Yeah.
This guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, that's right. PG Ty. So look, man, you guys are in the top 10. This matters, right? This search when people just search up Modern Arnis. So like honestly, we got to work on. I mean, Ragtag Nomad. We gotta get rid of him on the first spot.
I don't know how he's got 1 million views. I don't know.
He's
how
got
that's-
1.1 million. His was uploaded 7 years ago, and then we got Master Samuel Bambit Live, 46,000 views 11 years ago. And then the actual video of Professor Remy being dominated, and this was, but you know what? This was uploaded 1 year ago, so actually not bad.
See,
4
what we
years
got to
ago.
do is we need to look up our niece and see
Yeah.
where it rates there, not modern, because obviously you're looking specifically for modern. So of course you're gonna get all the modern guys.
Oh,
See, that's the problem. Modern,
Arnis.
yeah. So you got the documentary that was good.
Was on our trip.
Fighting Sticks of Our Niece. This is a great one, by the way. Thanks for sharing this with me. This is
Oh, no
a wonderful documentary. Oh, by the way, I should explain a little bit of the YouTube algorithm. Like I know this lady, Nalita V.
Drives me crazy. I follow her, but she drives me crazy.
She's awesome.
She
But
is.
the thing is, the YouTube algorithm rates these searches. It used to be just by view count, but now it's how new it is and how relevant it is relative to how new it is.
Mhm.
Right? So you have like legacy videos that have been up 5 years dominating, but then you have number 2 video,
Mhm.
right? And so here's the thing, right? Like Master Apollo Ladra here and the Budo brothers, I'm friends with them. There are certain people in this space who want to dominate search engine optimization. There's no reason why, I mean, technically, I love to hunt Apollo Ladra, but the Budo brothers put 1.6 million views of our niece here. And it's a Pikiti Tersha representation, right?
Mhm.
And then you have Kali Center, you have GM Bobby, and then you have
More
Kali
Pikiti.
Center, which is just like all Paul Ingram does is like what I'm convinced all he wants to do is dominate search engine optimization
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, he's out there. Huge.
When you type in Kali Arnis Eskrima Filipino Martial Arts FMA, all the proper hashtags, one of his videos is going to pop up.
Yeah.
Then you got me, Aperture Fight Focus, at 1 million views there with GM Bobby, and then you have all this other stuff. Oh, my homeboy Daniel Bernas. So anyway, okay, I'm going to remove this. Thank you for allowing me to share that.
No problem, no problem. Which was also one of your shows at one time.
Right. So there are different front lines. There are different battlefields. If your intention, guys, and speaking to the entire modern Arnis community, right? I'm vilified as the big fish or whatever, but there's stuff that I know about this world that will allow you to accomplish your intentions. Right? If you want modern Arnis to live and you want good representation of modern Arnis to show up in the top 10 search when you type it in on Google and on YouTube, I've discovered some things. I'm not the only holder of this knowledge, but that's the value of social media. That is the front line for preserving what you guys love, right? And this is a part of building the monument of modern Arnis to continue.
I used to do a lot of search engine optimization for my website way back in the day. But one of the things I noticed doing this YouTube stuff is normally, so last couple of years I've been trying to do more videos, and I've actually fallen off the last few months. For a while there, just about 3 months ago, I was the top 3. I was 3 or 4 of the top 10 of modern Arnis. And when you listed on YouTube, so I was watching those things, and I picked my hashtags, and I put the words in the description and all that good stuff. But like you said, the currency dominates right now, unless you've been around for 1,000 million years, which I haven't posted much since then. But anyway, I've noticed those things and managed them. I've just been too busy to make more videos.
Yeah, but also when you search from your computer, from your location,
I use proxies and I do other things too.
Perfect. Right. Because obviously that that influences search results. But I think, guys, I don't have a bad impression of modern Arnis as somebody from an outsider looking in. So I guess that's a good thing.
That is a good thing. It used to be we got a bad rap.
Yeah, no, I didn't get that impression at all.
Well, I mean, you at least got to see someone like Kelly at his caliber, but I mean, he's an exception. He's not the norm. So
and his guys do modern Arnis, and they mention the names and they understand, from Kelly's lens. And so it's. I don't think it has a bad reputation. It would be interesting to see what other people think about modern Arnis. I think I don't know a good modern Arnis fighter who fights in the open market.
Craig Mason.
He's up there in Canada. You need to go play with him.
Up in Sudbury.
Oh yeah.
Well, okay. Let's just.
How about this? Let's set this up. Have him kick my ass, and I'll be like a modern Arnis guy. Kick my ass.
Oh wait, who's in your boudoir?
We got Joe Apostol, who's Sayak.
I'll give you the list.
Justin Patricio Fernando.
Is Justin from Combat?
Yeah.
He's been dying to get Craig down there all the time.
Oh, I know. We try to invite everybody in Canada.
He knows him well.
Okay.
Well,
November 21st is going to be a pretty big gathering to fight, and a lot of people have committed, including a few dog runners.
Craig is probably the only modern Arnis dog out there.
Oh yeah,
he's a dog candidate. I actually called up. I had to call up.
Philip.
No.
Mark Denny. Loki.
No. Toronto.
Sean Zerger.
No. Beat the crap out of cancer. I can't even.
Beat the crap out of cancer. Yeah, that's a combat arts thing. Oh, Renee Coco.
Renee. I called Renee one time. I go, hey, listen, a couple of my guys, Craig is one of them, those are your events all the time. If you're holding off making him a dog because you're worried about crossing swords with me, by all means. They didn't even they thought he was a brother for a long time. It was like, no, I just hang out with you guys. So then he became a candidate. COVID happened. That screwed up. If he just has to do is, from what I understand, He's done everything except for do the international fight. Once he's done that, he should
Right.
be good to go.
I love the Dog Brothers, and you know, before I started fighting them, really like there's a prestige to being like a full dog and all that
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, and that makes sense to me.
Craig's really good. No, I mean, but when
Yeah,
you
I
say
would love
open market, what do you mean? I mean, like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got guys using Modern Arnis becoming world champions in sport
Yeah.
karate and stick fighting and stuff like that
That's
too.
dope.
So
Well, have them come to a just come to the boudoir, just fight with us.
Well, I know Craig has been
know he
invited to
wanted,
go down
yeah.
to combat, so
Yeah, and you know what? My impression of Craig Mason is that he's a really respectful dude too. Like he's not a douchehead.
Not like
So
me
that-
or Tim.
yeah, no, we're completed. Well, it's me. It's not you. It's me. It's all on me.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me go message Craig Mason, man. He seems
Well,
like a
Jeremy,
really-
who's on the show,
That's it.
is this
Jeremy Godet. Is he a
one of us.
Modern Arnis too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have
He's
a
one of
very
Craig's
good impression of this guy. I have a very, very good
Yeah.
impression of
Well,
Jeremy
So,
Godet.
so we
Very
go more
respectful
praise to
guy.
Sarnice than anything else because, to be honest with you, Modern really doesn't have a good reputation. Not okay. And here's what I'm saying: before everyone cries foul, it's more like the Parker's Kempo thing. Everyone knew Parker used American Kempo, but when he passed away, his students referred to it as Parker's Kempo. He himself never referred to it that way. I think Praise Sarnice has a better way to show homage to the brothers and still keep that name branding going on because Modern, a lot of people don't like.
Well, that's not. I mean, I can't comment on that, bro. You know that. I don't know.
Just me.
it's,
Can't comment on that. But yeah, maybe.
I mean, Remy's got better marketability. If we're talking from a marketing, well, the other thing too is that I studied under both brothers. I don't want to play favorites to one or the other.
Right.
So why if I call it Modernista, I ignore everything that Ernesto did for me. I mean, and then if I call it Compata, I mean, okay, so Ernesto, okay, so today, it's still today. Today is the 11th anniversary of Ernesto's passing.
Today?
Today.
What a cool thing that we're
We
talking
started
about.
the show on that, actually. I brought that up earlier.
Oh, wow.
And actually, I'm the one that got the two brothers to talk.
Wow.
They weren't talking for a while, and
Craig Mason was at the FMA gathering here
yeah,
in Toronto?
you were there. He was there. We were all there.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Because you weren't there when I was teaching, you would have seen because that's when I did the pad drill set. But you were.
Oh, I just assume people don't spar in FMA. Good for him. Oh, I want to meet this guy. Oh, he's such a sweetheart. Yeah, I know this guy. Yeah, I would love to do some matches with him.
Yeah.
He seems like he's got good energy too. Like he seems very confident in himself and like not trying to be a douchebag.
Mhm.
We can have different kinds of matches. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, dudes. Thanks for calling me out. Is it game time now? We've been on for an hour and a half.
The show's been on for how many? Where are we at, Ty? 2 hours and 33 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we keep going. Yeah, that's all we all do. Are you still drinking?
Yeah.
I haven't started
I
yet.
guess we're still talking.
Okay, well, I just want to keep you guys, but I'm cool. I'm cool.
So you, I know you're doing a million things. One of the things is you came to a Pakiti camp with Tuhum Bill McGrath and friend Jack Latour, and Tim and I were there, and I was hoping to meet you, but we missed actually talking at that one.
I think he showed up. Wait,
You were doing an interview with Tuhum Bill.
Yeah, Weppingers Falls.
Yeah, so I was there. Tim was there. Craig
That's
Elmer
when
was
you had the tomahawk that stuck to the wall.
Did you guys see me there? Because I wasn't there for very long.
Yeah, I saw you there. I didn't want to interrupt though. I'm a nice guy. I don't interrupt people.
I was heading out. I just got out for the afternoon. I drove down there for. I got there. I went for Saturday for a couple hours, and I drove home.
Yep.
I got there the night before. I roomed with Jack. I felt bad for him. Like, Jack, you really don't want me sleeping with you here. What do you mean, dude? I am like the super chainsaw.
Elmer and I were there the whole time.
Elmer.
Who's Elmer?
That's a pseudonym for the earlier part of the show.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a Leo that we just
Oh man, hey, have you guys
Shit
been
to that.
watching my like battle with these softies in FMA?
Well, I tell
Off
you,
and on.
I loved your
yeah.
show talking about the racism in FMA. That was great.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with these
And
Filipinos.
those
man.
guys, like, now a few of those guys you like though, right?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Like, did Alex Ursha sign off of that show early?
no, he was never on that show.
Oh, someone told me he thought he was.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, I'm going to be talking to one of those guys. They'll be at Bobby's camp.
And that's cool. And you know, one of the things that the dudes do that I just really thought was like bitch behavior. Was like he tried to rally support and stuff like that, and I'm just like, God.
We
like,
kept changing the damn questions.
Yeah.
First, it was supposed to be can a foreigner run an FMA organization? Well, I mean, sorry, the Filipinos shouldn't be running the organizations. But well, not those. I mean, well,
oh, not those Philippines.
not those.
Yo,
And then let's change the story to get the answer we want. I mean, really.
yeah.
And here's the
It
other
was
thing.
just look. Here's the bottom line. It was a shit podcast, and they did a shit job, and now they're gonna cry foul because I responded to it. And the thing is, and I made a podcast today. I'm like, hey, if you're gonna have an FMA podcast, here's the one thing you need: fucking balls, because it's public. People are gonna have opinions about what you say, and if you can't stand by what you say, don't have a fucking podcast. You know what I mean? And you can be diplomatic. I'm not saying be an asshole or be like super arrogant.
Well,
But they were like backlashing for the fact that I responded to it and I didn't like it.
Well, I think overall, in general, have a set. I mean,
Yeah, have a set
people
of
got
balls.
such spineless. I mean, like, it's all this, and then when you're not around, I'm like, no, I'm going to say, okay, you can be. I think we're too politically correct. I want to be PI, politically incorrect. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be mean.
No, it doesn't mean that.
We did a show about modern Ernie's organizations, and we talked about which ones we thought were modern Ernie's proper. We talked about which ones were modern Ernie's influenced, and we talked about which ones we thought were modern Ernie's derivatives.
Sure.
And some people freaked out, and the whole idea was like I said before, Comatron is not modern, and if you put the Ferrari logo on the Lamborghini, it's still a Lamborghini. Yeah. And vice versa. So we're not trying to, and then like, I remember when you asked the question, you were talking about teaching kids and all this other stuff, all watered down systems. No, you're making it age appropriate. That's not watered down, and old people are soft these days. And I'm like,
oh my God, these people are so soft.
Well, no, they were talking about how, back in the day when we used to use the flip flops and the Rattan 6. I mean, are you kidding now? In the Philippines, the Philippines. I mean, the Philippines are using all freaking body armor.
Dude,
like you couldn't have. They didn't have technology for the safety equipment, and if they would have had it, they would have used it. They wouldn't have used their damn flip flop. They need to walk on that shit.
Yeah, they're just I don't know. They're so weird, man. And it's like I don't know. I mean, I don't think anybody in the panel would actually square up and just put on a fencing mask and go, "Hey, if you really have something against me, let's do this thing and be friends."
Is that guy still with FMA discussion?
I don't know. That guy's a very smart guy. I actually like him. Julius, I actually like that guy. That's a smart cat.
Yeah,
but I just think
those damn questions.
Yeah, I just think. I mean, here's the thing, man.
Right? The guy probably punched in the face.
Yeah, there's something he said. There's some things that he says that I'm just like, I don't know, homie. But it's one of those things that I would just break his balls in person about. Yeah. But when I break his balls online, it kind of comes the wrong way. It comes across the wrong way. But he's a very intelligent, and I think he's got a lot to offer to the Filipino martial arts. Sometimes I just think, like, I don't know. Like, he's like, anytime you want to go, like, you can go to a wild card. I'm like, motherfucker, you ain't friends with Pacquiao. Like, you don't know Freddie Roach like that. But it's those things that, like, if I would say that to his face.
Where is Julia? Is he here in the States, Canada, or Philippines?
Yeah, he's stateside. I think he's in LA. But that dude is a smart cat. I just think that. Okay, here's the thing with a lot of Phil-Ams. I'm going to talk about Filipino Americans because I've been drinking.
I talk about it when I haven't been drinking.
There's okay, so I grew up in Canada, so I resent being called Phil Am.
You're North American.
Fuck that. I am Phil Cam. It's completely different, man.
Norcam.
Yeah, and
Okay.
you know where I see disgusting Phil Am behavior is in the Philippines.
Hmm.
They really have this sense of superiority. They come back to the homeland and they have a sense of superiority. And I'm broad stroking. This is not all of them.
Mhm.
It's not all of them. But growing up, I just remember feeling like when I went back to the Philippines when I was 23 because my father had passed away, and my father moved to Canada, and I was the representative of the Rubios, and I came back there, wanting to show who I'd become and what my father had created. And it was just like I was in Makati, and I would just see these people who were like clearly Filipinos, but clearly acting better than the Filipinos back home.
Hmm.
I was just like, I hate these motherfuckers. I hate them, you know. And so there's a little bit of that scar that I carry,
Hmm.
and I know this is this is a broad stroke, and I don't want to offend any of my friends who are Phil Ams, but there is a sense of and these days I think they want so badly to connect with the culture of the Philippines, they just don't know how to do it for real. They attach on to this like anti-colonialism mentality, and that's it's like, yo, bro, you can't be hating on the white dudes for the things they have nothing to do with. You know what I mean? Just so that you can have a sense of Filipino identity. It's not right. It's and I can get into critical race theory and all that stuff, but I just think that when people have a disconnect from their culture, they find every little bit of an opportunity and they run with it, and sometimes it just comes across as inauthentic. And I think a lot of Philams run into this problem. And it's just like, homie, just go back home, forget the am part,
Mhm.
and just dress down. Dress down. Don't try to be special. Spend some time in the slums. Spend some time in the farms. Do spend some time in the affluent, and just get to know who the Filipinos are today. But I think in the absence of any real connection, they cling on to whatever seems is a connection, and I just think that's incredibly shallow. I've been to the Philippines like 6, 7 times, probably more than that, and I explore every bit of it. And when I see people who are like that, I'm just get to know, and I get in trouble for saying things like, "Yo, Datu Tim's is more Filipino than you." I get in trouble for saying shit like
Well,
Jared Wihongi is more Filipino than you, and you got Filipino blood. But I will say that shit because it's fucking true. Tim, you dedicated so much of your life to the Philippine martial arts.
Well, let's talk about something for a second. I want to go back on that. First of all,
Go for it.
Jeremy, you don't know a person until you really know him. He's a pen pal of yours. I'm not saying Julius is a bad guy, but it's different than hanging with someone all the time. And if he's in LA, I don't know. I mean, you may like him, you may not. So he might be misunderstood, but unless you talk to him all the time, who knows?
Yo, I have no doubt if I hang out with Julius, I would love the guy.
Okay.
I just have no doubt about that.
I'm just saying people in general. I mean, a lot
You're
of people,
right, though. No, you're right, though.
You don't know a person unless you really know him.
You don't know.
You
A
know?
lot of people hate me, but I'm like, bro, we just got to chill for a little bit. I think
So
I think it would be cool.
Let me talk about an AM who went to the Philippines 7-8 times. Let me ask you a question. What was your first thought when you went there? Like, wait, were you born there?
Yeah, I was born there.
When did you fly? When did you migrate?
9 years old.
When you're 9?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I didn't have any of this. So,
bro, I was plucked away from a culture that I love. 9 years old, you have some idea.
Okay,
right?
yeah, you. I mean, 9, yeah. See, like when I went as an AM, not a Phil, but an AM, I cried my eyes out. I have never seen poverty on such levels. I would see it on TV saying that's bullshit, that's a UNICEF commercial, blah, 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 blah. I literally cried my eyes out. And the guys that were with me, they had to take me to Makati to see how that there was another half because I
Was
looked
that the
at
first? Was that the first time?
very first time. Now, ever
Like you
since
hadn't
then-
been to Africa, you hadn't been to Cambodia.
no,
you hadn't
I've been to
Thailand.
Europe.
The Philippines was
The
your first one.
first Asian country, first and only.
Cool.
And I've never been to the continent of Africa. So
But it could have been any of those.
could have
You
been.
would have, you would have bawled your eyes out.
I
nonetheless.
bawled my freaking eyes out. And until they
Sad.
showed me parts of the Philippines that were affluent, I was like, and you're look, and I'm like, you can't help anybody. I mean, I want to give this kid money, but then I have to give this kid. I mean, there wasn't enough money to hand out. There's families living in the street. I mean, it was such a humbling experience. And every time I get too cocky for myself, I got it bad because my damn VCRs or my DVD player's not working, my Blu-ray, and I need to get a new laptop because this one's going slow and like bullshit. Now what? I am so blessed, so freaking blessed being over here. But let's talk about that more Filipino than Filipinos. No. Here's the thing. And
Ty, have you been to the Philippines?
with us?
Couple times. I used to live in Malaysia too, so I grew up
Oh.
overseas and I traveled around. So I've got a weird view on things.
Are you a veteran?
Nope,
Just a dude?
just a dude. Yeah, my dad was in oil, so I grew up all over the
Oh,
place.
okay, cool. Right on. Sorry, Tim. Go ahead.
But
Let's talk about being.
I heard the same thing about the Japanese. There's a move for a global culture, and it's a Western culture. And a lot of the things that were happening, like I know a guy who does Daitoru Jiu-Jitsu, and they were saying on how the Japanese are no longer embracing this part of the culture. They don't want to do their martial arts. They don't want to do this, and it's the Americans specifically at the time they were talking that we are embracing the Japanese culture more than their own people are because they're going towards this global shift and less cultural identity and more of a, basketball, fast cars, hip hop music, or whatever the latest trend happens to be. K-pop, I guess, is the newest thing. And when you would go to dojos decades ago, you'd see one or two non-Asians there. Now it's one or two Asians, and the rest are non-Asian training. And I mean, do you know Styles down in Virginia? Oh, he's a guy we got to hook him up. He's an underground martial artist. Is trained with everybody, and so the guy's badass. And
He's like the top one of the top or whatever guys in Combate Eskrima El Regional. CEO.
Okay.
And he's also done stuff with Nene Tortal with Dikiti Tersha and
Dikiti Tersha is the shit. It's probably better than Dikiti. Like if I found Dikiti now, I'd probably be a Dikiti guy. I just had a chat with Jared about this. But anyway.
Okay. So
shout out Dikiti Tersha Serratus.
Yeah. Yep. So he's done all this stuff, and when I was hanging out with Nene for a while, that's how I met Styles, and really good people. And he's made these comments, but that the problem here is that a lot of people think just because you're Pinoy that you're doing stuff, but a lot of Pinoys are not doing this. They're going in a different direction. And as far as the art goes, the propagation, who's teaching the art?
Yeah, look, I get in trouble for saying shit like one of the best things that ever happened to FMA was when
I remember it.
was when big white strong guys decided
when you're talking to Dean and you're drinking too much.
I mean, it's true. It's okay. Look, first of all, the phenomena that you explained is cyclical, right? Let's not forget that, right? Like it goes in cycles. The cycle of influence, right? When the generation growing up sees outside influence dominating the narrative, they tend to cycle back, and it goes through cycles. This is kind of like how the world works, and I mean, anime is big in the United States.
Oh, definitely.
Right? Like the sushi is huge in the United States. It isn't this like colonial thing. It's just a sharing of cultures and the way cycles work. But I definitely think the Filipinos underwent like a massive cycle of just not understanding that there's so much to be proud of to be Filipino, and just admired everything that was Western. And I think the generation now, and I called it when I was there, like things are starting to shift, because I went to the Philippines when I was 23 years old. I'm turning 42 now. And I was like, wow, there's Eminem is playing at a McDonald's. Here I am, you know. I was like, I'm in the Philippines. This is what I came down here for. I could have gotten this. Could have gotten this in New York, right? But I identified then, and I observed it, and I was like, this next generation is going to turn things around. They're going to do things like, hey, like maybe we shouldn't kill that dolphin for food because white dudes are going to come here for tourist dollars to see them. I identified how things work, and sometimes I can be blunt and sometimes abrasive with how I characterize my thoughts.
No,
And
no,
that's by design, but I cannot deny, and Filipinos cannot deny. Listen, I mean it. One of the best things that happened to Filipino martial arts was when Filipinos decided to put a passport on it and traveled west. That's one of the best things that ever happened to the Filipino martial arts. And I think the Filipinos who get mad at me or resist that idea are the ones who are insecure. The cultural epicenter of FMA is always going to be in the Philippines. No matter if the world champion is German or American, FMA, the center of FMA will always be in the Philippines, just like it will for Muay Thai, it will always be in Thailand, despite the fact that Americans will probably smash those dudes.
well,
Right? Look, if John Jones were to fight a Muay Thai fight or whoever, they would probably smash the. I don't know, maybe. But I think it's the insecurity of the people who feel like it's slipping from their hands that say these things about, Western influence and who say terrible things about Guru Dan Inosanto and who minimalize the contributions of folks like you. And I will have no part in that discussion.
I don't go there for martial technique, and one of the reasons why is that Remy was here. They missed 15 years of Remy's evolution, but I feel today with all like I said, seven, 8 visits over there. I feel that I now understand Remy better than I've ever done in my entire life because I'd go to Toronto for years, hanging out up there, and I would get exposed to Filipino culture. But I go to the Philippines to be immersed in it.
Don't skim over that part. Don't skim over the part where, Remy spent like what? How many years in the United States?
He moved here in '74.
And how old was he when he moved here? When he moved there?
Probably 30. Let me see. He was born in '36, the same as Inosanto.
Did he die in the United States?
It was actually Victoria, BC.
British Columbia?
Yeah.
So and how old was he when he died?
He was turning 65. He was still 64.
So, bro, his prime was spent in friggin' North America.
Yeah.
Let's not kid ourselves.
No. His evolution never stopped. He would hang out with people like Wally J. and
so
he kept evolving.
So from the age of 30 to 60, it was in North America.
Yeah.
So I don't think we should skim over the fact. The people he taught in North America are probably his best frigging students.
And this was one of the shows we had. So there's a lot of people that connect, and I think it's more self-validation that they feel the need to have that connection to the Philippines. And I don't need the connection to the Philippines because I study with the man directly, and I am privileged to have that blessed where I know the Europeans have a tendency of tying their wagons more to the Filipinos because they weren't as blessed. I mean, Remy became a naturalized citizen in the United States. I could drive a couple hours to see him where they would have to, and then he opened the door for me to work with Ted Bua. Here's the guy who taught Franchon. He was 4 hours away from me in Detroit.
Jim Bubby lives in friggin' North Carolina.
We're gonna be driving down there this weekend. It's a 2-hour flight. It's gonna be 11-hour drive each way.
But guess what? All these people are Filipinos. But the fact of the matter is, they spent their prime teaching Americans. Yeah. And so,
if you want to know Remy's art, you train with the Americans. If you want to know Bobby's art, You
You
train,
train with the
American.
Americans. If you want to know Filipino culture, you go to the friggin' Philippines.
And that and they still have a role. And I think if we worked as a team,
Huge.
if we worked
Yes.
as a team,
Yes.
it would be good for everyone. Because like I said, everyone I've brought people to the Philippines, not one or two. I brought, the one time it was like a troop of 10 of us, and we've always had three to five other people coming with us, which it doesn't help the entire Philippine economy, but it helps some families.
Yeah,
And if everyone, it's just that people get twisted on what they think they need Marshall. And oh, hey, Mal Morney's on. Hey, Mal
Morney's a bad man.
Hey, Mal.
Mal Morney.
It looks just
I
like
want to
Woody.
learn
Go
from this
figure.
dude. I want to learn from this guy.
Have you met him yet?
No.
Dude, he was up in Toronto. I was up there with him. I was with Sean's.
I didn't know how funny this guy was. I had no idea.
Oh my God, he's
funny
awesome.
Mal Morney was.
Hey, Mal, do you want to be on the show? I'll send you an invite right now. Mal, can you log in?
But let me just reiterate this. Let me reiterate a point. I will be vilified for saying some of the things I say, but
No, they'll blame me.
No, they'll. I've been called whitewashed. I've been called
You're not
brainwashed. But here's the thing. They've got their work cut out for me if they think that they're gonna fucking, bully me. I will speak for the truth no matter how uncomfortable it is. And the fact that Professor Remy Presas spent what I consider to be, because I'm 41 years old, and I feel like I'm peaking very soon in my Filipino martial arts studies. Maybe I got another 10 years. Professor Remy Presas, if he lived in the United States from 30 to 60, that was his best.
Yeah.
Nice.
More than a handful.
Bagus.
I know. I don't want to be too cliquey.
I don't think you can. I think they want, sometimes when they have these gut reactions about who's teaching what to whom, people want to have it both ways. I want my art to spread, but I only want it to be done by this select group of people. I think you can't have it both ways. If you want it to spread it, and everybody doing the art matters.
It's weird. Like, I'm sure, what I want to hear from Maul is how he's received in his home country of Brunei, teaching, his brand of, Silat, and how he's received. Because we see a perspective. I think Maul's amazing, but I wonder what kind of criticisms he gets back home from the Pendekars and what the Malaysians think of him, and what the Indonesians think of him.
You can't teach the orang putih. You can't do all that stuff.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have been the first. I mean, there's a whole list of lineage of people who've taught so he's just one of many, not the first.
I'm glad he's doing it. When I was living in Malaysia, I could not study Bersilat, which was the Malay version, right? Because I wasn't Muslim, so they wouldn't teach me.
Right. Yeah. And so it's Salat Sufyan Beladiri, if I understand that correctly. That is Maul's system, right?
Right, but that basically a lot of it translates to just martial art. But anyway, yes.
Okay. Right. See, and I just think that because martial arts is so rich, right? And when you go, you don't know styles? How do you not know styles? Like,
right, exactly.
There are so many.
We'll make that.
But there are so many of these, like regional legends and legends within circles. And this is what I found when I get to travel. It's like I go to Austin. I was like, you don't know Master Mitch? And he's like, no, I have no fucking idea who Master. And then I go to Alabama, and he's like, you don't know Sensei How? There are these legends in each one of these regions, and what I never want to be is so fixated and to feel like my small circle is bigger than it really is. This is really important for me,
No matter the art, there's like a gazillion what we call hidden teachers.
Yeah.
Styles is the guy who travel a lot, though. I mean, he's been around. Oh, here we go.
He actually lives in the UK. I don't spend. You live in the UK right now?
Yeah, he's in London.
Oh, okay. Only during the pandemic. Yeah, because I'm seeing his posts.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's like you live in the UK.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Only during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
see,
you-
that goes how that's amazing.
So
That's
let me give
really
you two
cool.
things on Remy real quick on this.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Before we forget. So Remy was colorblind when it came to his students, and I'll give you one personal story and one other.
Wait,
story.
what is it when people say I don't see color? I
He's
think that's
colorblind. Well, he saw color because he goes. He's working with me. He goes, Tim. Now, when you were at the Filipino, which is Mark Benez, which is one of my great friends up in Toronto,
yeah,
or actually
yeah.
Oshawa or something like that. He's like, do not let him move you. You do this, and he was
Right.
giving me shit to. I mean, like,
Okay, but he didn't think you were Ethiopian.
no, he didn't.
Okay.
What are they talking about? What the fuck?
Okay, I get you.
All right. So then, but here's the thing. Here's what Remy did that others didn't have. He actually had a will, and there was only 2 Pinoy in the will to take over the martial arts, and it wasn't his family.
Who are they?
Roland Dantes, the late Roland Dantes. Yep. And Shashir Connell, but those two weren't the only ones chosen. There's a long list of people who are listed, and they were mostly, wait for it, Americans.
Who's got this document?
Well, I got a copy of it,
It's also in Dan's book.
but they ignored it when they took over. They formed the organization or reformed it.
Who?
The IMAF decided to do their own thing.
Who are the men or women?
Well, one who's I don't know. Randy Shays disappeared because he kind of embezzled money allegedly, and now he's either in a shallow grave or he is in a non-extradition country. We don't know.
Well, he's not here to defend himself. So just the facts. Who was the most powerful anti-will people?
Well,
Why
He
doesn't the will stand?
because it was never executed. Because the person who was in charge of the will, the
Meaning
executive,
it wasn't signed?
it was never executed. The executor of the will never executed it because he was the one that possibly embezzled all the money out of his account, along with his other.
Oh, then forget about the will. Forget about the will. I mean,
But the will does show people like myself as designated to be people to take the art to the next generation.
even if that were his intention, that document is invalidated by the sheer, but by the pure fact that its credibility is it's tainted. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate, but that will is meaningless.
Well, I mean, if it would have been executed, it would have been fine. I mean, it was executable. It just was
Yeah.
not.
But you know what I mean? It's like once it's tainted,
Mhm.
you can't have it just a little tainted. You know, it's
Well,
you might as well have it just written in crayon on a napkin.
It
No,
had-
I mean, no, it was.
But it had been developed for almost a decade, right? More than a decade.
No, the will was rock solid. It's just that they chose not to execute. The people who took over, one of the people who took over was the executor of the will.
Yeah. The will was typed on a piece of paper, right?
It was
typed up. It wasn't handwritten by Remy, is what I'm saying.
It was typed up and worked with several different
Attorneys.
lawyers over time, attorneys with
Okay.
time. So it had gone through them, and then
That's
it
rough.
was signed. Yeah. Yeah.
That's rough. That's rough.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If it was handwritten, then we could have a case for, hey, let's re-examine this.
It was. He signed it.
Yeah.
And there, like I said, there's records of working through in several iterations over time.
Oh, what a mess.
So yeah, that was messy.
And that was the part because
But the main point is that it illustrates who is interested in bequeathing. Even if you get with the people that didn't go with the will,
Yeah.
those were all Westerners as well, except for Randy.
Was Remy's departure from this earth like a kind of a chronic illness, or was it sudden?
Sudden, it was brain cancer that just went whoosh real fast.
I was the only American with him when he got diagnosed in Germany. And
oh man, that is terrible.
actually, he was in Tunisia. I was in England. We both met. He taught there. I taught there. We both met together there. And
Now, let me ask you a really tough question.
okay,
So you were one of the few Americans who were there
I was the only American there.
when he was diagnosed.
Right.
How old were you?
I would say I was 35.
During those times, if you can recall, how much of your thoughts were about how does Remy leave things behind in a way that makes sense? You know, like, do you understand? So I might be being vague, but you were there when he was diagnosed with
Right.
this. He had a brain
My only
cancer,
thought
right?
was Remy's safety and health. He
Yeah.
offered me the system right then and there, and I turned him down. I told him, "You're going to get better. We're going to get out of this.
Wow.
You're going to do a lot better." And had I any idea what was going to go on,
How old was he?
he was 64.
So he still had his full faculties about him when he offered you the system.
Okay, so here's what I would say. Remy lived by his emotions.
Ah,
Okay.
I get that.
So someone
Okay.
tells you you're going to die. What are you
Right.
thinking?
Hey, that's very honest of you, Tim.
I wouldn't accept. I don't listen. I was the heir apparent. There was no question about it.
That's
But the
very
thing
honest.
here was, I
That's good for you.
wasn't. If I was going to accept anything, there's no way in hell I was going to accept some kind of deathbed promotion. And at the end of
Yeah.
the day, somebody needed to worry about his health, his mental state.
Oh my God.
That's what I worried about. Because you know what? I didn't give a damn about the system. This was my adopted father.
Wow, dude. Wow.
I don't have it on me. I had 24 karat gold medallions of modern Anise. I gave one to him. We had matching ones made up. I gave it to him for his Father's Day. You know, so I had a relationship with him. He would introduce me to his Pinoy friends. Anak, come here. Tim is my Anak. And everyone was like, why is he calling you a nut? They go, you know that means sibling, right? You know that means child.
I'm not. Yeah.
And then like, what are you talking about? And then the one time he said, Tim is like my son, people freaked out because, well, that's why I always tested for all my ranks, because we had this relationship.
Wow.
Ty was there when I did a pretest, and the comment was made, "Oh, we thought Tim was a political black belt. We didn't know he was any good." Like, I'm teaching and training and doing all this stuff all the time. Why would you think that I'm the only one that's actually putting it on the mats. The rest of you got your black belt, and then you just took the rest of your promotions. I tested. What the hell?
Damn.
But you're
Wow,
right.
Tim.
This was sudden because it was. I remember talking to him just months before, and I was looking forward to his next visit when he was coming to Texas. I was a poor grad student; I couldn't go anywhere. But it was next thing I know, this all happened. It was crazy.
Hey, let me ask you guys a question. If we could have a do-over for this conversation to talk about like real moments with Professor Remy and the events surrounding his passing,
Okay.
if you could invite two other people to this conversation, and these two people you will choose so that it can potentially yield the greatest benefit for the modern Arnis community, and I can ask these questions to you guys, who might those two people be?
Are you talking in the attempt to heal things?
Yeah, to heal, but also to provide context, to close information gaps, to get a better idea of what the full picture might actually look like. Who would these two other people be?
Well,
Maybe you don't like them, but
hold on. I'll be right back, because I have to use the washroom real quick, and you guys don't want to see that. I'll be right back.
All right, Ty. Let me ask you that question.
That's a tough question. So there are, like you said, there's these scars and whatnot. So like I said, I think people can correct me if I'm wrong. I think I get along with everybody, at least in some way, shape, or form. And I can go to and support all the things. That's all fine. I seem to have that ability, more or less welcome, depending. is in terms of being included or not. And that's not
You
what
understand the question, though, right?
I do understand the question.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm just telling you the background there. So my
course.
choices would be, gosh, that's a tough one because there's some agendas, there's some old wounds, there's some, are they ready themselves?
No, but if you understand the question, none of those things ultimately matter, right?
Well, I think the ready themselves matter.
Well, let's assume they are, because
Oh, okay.
the question is, if you could invite any two other people to have this conversation about
Mhm.
the moments surrounding Remy Prestes' death and what his true intentions were, and these people, whether you like them or not, whether they're ready or not, let's
Mm.
assume they are, will provide the greatest possibility for the modernist community to have this full picture painted.
Hmm.
What would it be?
So so I'd normally want somebody who was there at the end, but I think that my answer probably has only one of those people there, and that would be Jeff Delaney. He's sort of gone hermit mode. We came up together in Texas as well, and then he became one of the co-grandmasters of the IMAF that kind of took over, and then split off on his own.
Jeff
That would
Delaney?
be right. That would be
Jeff
interesting. You can't really get a hold of him, but that would be interesting.
Okay.
And then I think because of what he's doing now, even though he wasn't there, I think I'm thinking it's not going to be the name people expect, but I'm thinking Brian Zawinski. Now, Tim will probably disagree, and that's fine. But you asked, I'm answering
Yeah,
the question right now.
your opinion, yeah.
Those
Who's this
two
guy?
Who's who?
Brian.
Brian Zawinski. He's one of the masters of Tapi Tapi as well, but on the other side of things from Jeff, once that split happened. But he was probably besides Randy Shea, he was probably the most senior guy to kind of take over at the time that all happened. And he just hosted a recent camp recently and brought a bunch of people together. It might be interesting if like you said, it could be in that situation. But I'd be interested to hear what Datu says too.
Did you hear his answers?
Yeah, I did. So, okay. And this, okay. So,
give me your answers first.
My thought, let me make sure I perceived this. You want to talk about who would have the most positive influence on making things right in the future or better in the future?
Yeah, but for better or worse, the truth.
That was the second part is what I keyed on with my answer.
Yeah.
If I were keying on the first part, my answer would be different.
So I heard you say Jeff. I don't know. I mean, if you're talking about trying to make an impact to make things better, worse,
he wouldn't have an impact. But
no,
yeah.
I mean, and you know what? I after the split, Jeff and I were at a Hall of Fame together. We had a great time. We didn't talk about martial arts. We just talked about the old man, had a blast, and boom, done. I'm looking at the list right here. Actually, I'm looking at the will right here. And looking at the names that are in it. Problem is there's a lot of Kool-Aid drinking going on, and
come on.
But he said that part doesn't matter if we're just
none of that stuff
on the table.
I'm looking at the list trying to figure out.
The other thing is there's so many people that have a piece of this. That too is rough too.
Well, I wouldn't mind talking to Kenny Smith. He was one of the guys. I don't.
Who is this guy?
That's another master of Tapi Tapi.
Okay.
There were 7 masters of Tapi Tapi. Allegedly, the title supersedes Grandmaster, which is ridiculous because Remy would not promote someone above himself.
What? Okay. PG Pununguru Thai. Can you say those 2 names again?
Which ones? What I said?
Your 2 names, yeah.
Yeah, Jeff Delaney and Brian Zawinski.
And Datu Tim. The one name that you mentioned already was
Kenny Smith.
Okay,
Master Ken, the other Master Ken.
The other Master Ken.
Who's your final? Who's your next choice?
Okay, I'll tell you who I'd want to if we could. Okay, here would be my dream 2 if we could actually come together on something.
Yeah, that's not a hang up.
No. Well,
they
no,
will.
I mean,
they will. This
Brian-
is not. It doesn't matter
Brian
if
Z.
they would.
Brian Z was one of them. You know, I would
So
love
the same
it. If
the same choice that
Brian
you do.
Zwolinski. I would love it if we were able to come together and clear the air.
All right. So let's say these 4 names in one go.
Well, there's 3, so
There's
there's
3. Sorry, yeah, because you.
we
okay.
overlap.
Does that mean we get an extra one?
No, say them.
So Brian Zwolinski,
Right,
Ken Smith,
right,
Jeff Delaney.
yeah.
Okay. And and the question was, I asked both of you if you could invite anybody to a discussion like this for the benefit of modern Arnis, in intentions or whether or not they would do it. Right. That's not even a factor.
Right.
But these are the people that you would bring in to put the pieces together, to bring the truth about what the final days of Professor Remy Presses, and to bring a fuller picture of what modern Arnis was meant to be based on his vision. Yeah?
Maybe not. It's not. Yeah, you've expanded the statement a little more.
Okay.
Or you understand it better. One of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you guys have a common denominator, which is interesting.
Okay, so I'm going to go out on a. So if the criteria was, I'm gonna throw another one out.
Yeah.
If the criteria would have been, which groups would you want to talk to try to take modernities to the next generation with? It would be Bruce Chu, who was in Remy's will as well, and I get along with Bruce a lot, actually, or at least I think I do. I have no problems with Bruce. I think he's a guy I would love to do stuff because he actually has a following.
Which matters, yeah, absolutely.
And I think if he teamed up with us as a team, not one under, but a team, someone like a Bruce Chu
Yeah.
would have a lot of, I think that could be a beneficial relationship for promoting modern Arnis to its next generation.
Are you guys both like alphas? Like that would be really hard to do.
Bruce and I?
Yeah.
Oh, Bruce is not alpha. No.
Not alpha in that sense. Where okay.
No, Bruce is a different. He kind of went. Remember, I mentioned I went on hermit mode. He went off a little bit of weird misunderstanding. That was all resolved. But he's kept off on his own and doing a thing, and has been friends with everybody ever since, even though he's doing his own thing. Does that make sense?
So he's walking his own path, teaching the art the way he wants to teach it, and no one seems to have a problem with him.
Okay.
So I think
That's a good guy to know. That's a good guy to have on the team.
Well, even just in general. So that I'm in WMA, and I'm actually on the whatever board council, whatever silly thing that is. But I go and I teach at Bruce's things for my own friendship with Bruce, and also to support his students in style, and just because of the art. And he has me. So there is a Bruce is good cat.
Now I will say this. Now here's a misconception. So Ty is a member of my organization, and then Elmer is a member of my organization. They go to all these other organizational events with people that I don't get along with, not by lack of effort, because these guys, I'll tell you, I've tried my best to try to get along with some of these guys, and I have no problem with them going over to other groups. My only criteria here is you cannot have an administrative position with another organization while being on our board, because that's a conflict of interest. But
That's
by
fair.
all means, go to all these other events, because you know what? These guys were your friends too. So who am I to get in the way of that? I will never ask someone to choose. It's either them or us, unless it is a conflict of interest, i.e. having an administrative position.
Yep.
So should I read the will names? Maria's asking for it.
Sure, why not?
Okay.
After he finishes his thought.
After Apollo.
Before you read this,
Okay.
tell me what this is supposed to mean to the modern Arnis community.
Oh, well, it has an intro, couple sentences to those name list, right? I don't have it up.
So, second, I direct that the executor form a legal corporation to promote the art of modern East. I direct that the mission of this organization will be to promote, teach, and preserve the art of modern East, which has been my life's passion and work. The board will elect a chairman and co-chairman, form its ranks at the annual meeting of the board, which will be held immediately before or after the summer camp, which will be held yearly in Michigan or at another location to be chosen by the members of the members by majority vote. So he wanted a group to run the organization. He didn't want to. He wanted to be inclusive with his students. He didn't want to be exclusive.
Copy.
So
okay, names.
All right. And I'm gonna. Okay, so the board members will consist of the following: Brian Zibolinski, U.S., Charles Chuck Goss, U.S., Bruce Chu, U.S., Jeff Delaney, U.S., Dan Anderson, U.S., Terry Warham, U.S., Doug Pierre, U.S., Dr. Randy Shea, U.S., Al Garza, U.S., myself, U.S., David Hoffman, U.S., Larry Roca, U.S., Brett Salafia, U.S., Ken Smith, U.S., James Lattis, U.S., Richard Roy, Fred King, both U.S., Shashir and Caesar and Akala. It's got to be Shashir and Akala, which is U.S., Canada, and Philippines, depending on what he's doing. Lee Lowry, Dave Converse, Andy Filardo, Michael Bates, David Nung, Roland Rivera, all U.S., Roland Dantes, the Philippines, Marlena Hafano, Kevin Black, Dr. Charles Terry, U.S., and then in Germany, Dieter Canoodle and Gabrielle Roland.
Dieter?
Yes.
So how many living Filipinos are on there?
Okay, if you're talking about who reside in the Philippines.
No. Filipinos. I don't care where they live.
Okay,
two living.
Three, Shashir.
Wait, one of them's not alive.
Shashir.
No, Shashir's alive.
David Nung and Roland Rivera.
Oh, David Nung is. I didn't think he was Filipino. Is he?
Oh, is he Chinese?
I thought he was Chinese.
Oh, there's a lot of people of Chinese heritage.
True.
Filipino because they lived in.
I don't know. I just
okay.
Also as a kung fu guy, right? So.
Okay. All right.
Stereotyping.
Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so Roland Rivera. So two.
Yep.
So who is the most prominent modern Arnis practitioner living in the Philippines today?
0.
What? Nobody's teaching modern Arnis in the Philippines that you might go, hey, even though it wasn't on his will, we should put him on the board.
Okay, so Rodel de Guc, in my opinion, does the closest job of modern Arnis.
Do you think it would be within his intentions in his heart to want to be part of this board if the board decides he is worthy? Would he do it?
He does his own system, de Guc Arnis.
So, okay, this seems pretty clear to me, right?
Yes.
This he wrote down. This is an extensive list. I thought it was like 3 people. This is a huge list of people who can actually form a modern Arnis board,
right?
And who can make decisions. That's not like unilateral. It's not one person making. Oh, no. What's the opposite of unilateral? Anyway, this Arnis board can exist. Okay, let me ask you this: Who do you think would want to be on that board that isn't on that list? Kelly Warden, I'm sure, because right, he would probably want to be on that board. I didn't hear his name, but in my estimation, my limited estimate, who else might be? Who might wish? Who loved? Let me reframe this. Who loved Professor Ramey so much and dedicated so much of their life that while their names weren't on that list, ought to be on that board.
I don't think that all the people on the board or in the list should have been on the list to begin with.
But that doesn't. Who
but
cares?
well, no.
Here's what you think about it. You know what I mean?
Some of these people retired, so I don't know if they wanted to be on there at all. You know?
But whether or not they're active is inconsequential to the fact that Professor Remy put their names on there for a reason.
Yeah.
So let's not remove people.
No. I'm just saying, like before I put other people on, we also have to. Some of these names were gone, want nothing to do with it, blah blah blah. And I'm not condemning them. So it's hard for me to think of other names to put on,
right?
Because I don't know how many people would want to be on because they were left off, or how many people want to be on because they truly want to and think they can help out. There's that.
Yeah, but you can't discount votes and speak on behalf of professors.
No.
So even if they weren't practicing, even if they don't like modern learners,
you
got to honor the document, right? Because that's at the heart of this. You have to.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, okay, slow your roll. I love you, bro. Did you switch drinks? You're on the same thing. Okay. No, what I'm saying is,
I love this.
As watching this list, I know of people who just retired from martial arts. Period. So. Before looking at this, it's hard for me to wrap my head around who we would add, because I'm not sure if there's any names on the list that weren't on the list that should be, as in like where they want to be part of it, or they just feel left out. So but here's a good one. Remy's kids, none of Remy's family is in the will when it comes to inheriting the martial system.
So here's what's cool about this list.
There's a blog about that, or there's a video.
Here's what's cool about this list, right? I'm just asking for your opinion of who you might think. You don't get to decide, right? So this board can nominate people who else can be on the board. And whether or not they're in is inconsequential to the fact that Remy wanted them in. Right. So if we took this list of people and then we said, board, right? And this wouldn't take a whole lot of effort, bro. Board, whether or not you want to be on the board, whether or not you're just a farmer now and you don't even like modern names. How many names have we got there? How many living names? How many votes?
20-ish.
Just add it up. Give me the number.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 30 people.
Oh, shit. It's an even number. Okay. 30
now,
votes.
Wow.
Wow, that's incredible.
He was super inclusive all the time.
One is already, one of these guys are dead, David Hoffman.
So we have 29 voting.
And Randy Shea, we don't know what's going on with him. So it could be, I would say 28 because he's either fled the country or whatever. And then Roland Dante's passed away. Now, see, I think Roland would have been a great Kuya as a big brother to give us advice.
Right. So that's 27.
27. Perfect.
There you go. Now you got a majority. I know that's what you're looking for.
Right. That's what I was thinking. Right.
Now it's almost like who did you forget? Because it's okay.
So these 27 people are going to have varying levels of attention and involvement. Mm-hmm. But if we're going to honor the will, we got to honor the vote.
Yep.
Well, yeah. Definitely. No. And once again, here's the thing. Even if they didn't execute the will, and it's because there's the estate and all this other stuff, and they could have at least followed the structure of the will when it came to forming the organization. This was completely blown off. They said, "Well, we have to wait to do the will properly because you could have formed the organization."
But now isn't. I mean, what I'm saying is then isn't now.
Right.
Right. Then isn't now, and now we have 27 living members who are on this will. And there isn't going to be 27 members with equal love and intention for this, but at least we can honor Professor Remy Press's idea that the future of modern Arnis ought to be determined by a board.
Yeah, I agree.
So
use this as a starting point. Yeah,
it's a starting point.
Yep.
So maybe the first order of the board is to vote in other board members,
or vote on what the next iteration of the board is going to be, whether that's me leaving or you coming on or whoever. Yeah.
Exactly. And so this is something that anyone can draft up.
Yep.
This is possible.
Not anyone, because as you said, it couldn't be the heads of any of these factions.
I'll do it. But it's a simple questionnaire that a
Right.
vote has. It doesn't need to be like this formal document. I can write up a freaking questionnaire and say, okay, who do you want to be on this board? Who wishes to be no longer in this board? A simple questionnaire that whether or not you hate each other, love each other, think each other is a fucking dickhead, doesn't matter. Professor Remy said these 27 living members get a vote because that's what a board does, right? And the majority of a board gets to determine what happens to the organization. And so you can have your little Game of Thrones match in the friggin' behind the scenes and talk to people. But at least you'd be honoring the friggin' man's wishes. And at least you can feel good about the future of modern Anise as having been influenced by the man who created it. Simple. Anyway, I love this is amazing to me. I think this might be worth a go. It might be worth a go. What do you
So,
guys think?
are you the one going to take up the challenge? Because
I'll write the friggin' question.
so you're going to tell us
Listen.
the questionnaire. I mean,
Yeah, listen, I love Filipino martial arts, but I don't. I mean, I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. Like, there's gonna be people who are like, "Who the fuck is Paulo?"
well, here's the thing. I'm
You
going to tell you where I'm at on this. I
Yeah.
refuse to host any of this anymore. I've do my events. I've done it too many times. But that being said, I'm not against coming to the table on something. It's just that I'm not going to be hosting because like I said, I've done a bunch of events here where I've had people from outside, and if you look at my body of work, you'll see that when it comes to my events, I've been very inclusive. But I am done with being that person. Like I said, it's the frog and the scorpion, and this frog's done getting spit.
Sure.
But like I said, if you were to try to host an event or gathering or something for people coming together, I'd go to it. I've always been the first in.
I know, man. I don't know what I am or what I'm turning out to be in FMA. I love it. It changed my life. It's just, maybe I will do this because to be honest, it's calling me.
Well, you know what? If
every
there's
other
an
thing
art
in my
that could
life
use your
seems like a
help right
distraction.
now, if you think that, okay, listen, this is going to sound, I know I got that sarcastic, it comes out sarcastically, okay? If you think you're the guy that can help, we could use somebody. And if you're up to that challenge, I would, if you wanted to put something together, like to bring people together and stuff like that and to talk and come to a table, wouldn't think twice about going. I would be there. As long as there's enough notifications so we can, so
Here's the
everyone can throw out the scheduling issues, because I'm more than happy to.
Right. Well, I'm gonna need some help because I mean, guys,
people like Ty, they don't like me, so maybe he can help.
Yeah, just the organizational stuff, like which hall we're gonna be in, and like what's the form they need to sign. But I'd be more than happy to moderate and be like the guy who goes, "Hey, calm down, everybody." Like, I can be that. But
are you talking about just getting everyone together to talk?
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's not an event, they won't show.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't want to be the guy who has to rent the hall.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the guy who decides what hors d'oeuvres are going to be shared. I don't want to be that. So if you can find people who will help do this stuff.
Well, good thing you have Maria watching the show, because she loves.
I think there's enough people who love Modern Anise to want to help support me in being like, a part of this, to be a catalyst, to go, hey, I don't give a fuck about Modern Anise, but you guys seem to really love this thing, and I just love FMA as a whole, and so this is why I'm here. I don't care what you freaking dudes decide, but here's the process, because I love FMA, and Modern Anise is part of FMA. I have no, what is it, skin in the game, whatever that,
At one point in time, before he moved away, June Occidental was going to do, and he did the Valentinois gathering twice. He was going to do the next one was going to be a Modern Ace, but then of course he moved away for work to Italy.
Yeah.
But he was an outsider as well.
He's a Kombatan guy.
Kombatan,
That's
Valentuak,
modern too. He's
and,
not,
yeah.
there's
and
a lot.
also
He's a great guy.
Cairo.
Yeah. Guru Jun is amazing. He's a badass too. I don't think he's detached enough.
Don't think he's a what?
He's detached enough.
Ah.
Yeah, he's got ranks and stuff. You know how many
Yeah.
ranks I
Yeah.
have in FMA? 0. I got no ranks. I got no loyalty. I'll say, screw Pikiti Tersha any day of the week. I mean, even though I got the damn thing tattooed here.
It's okay. When you come down here, you'll easily be able to put Praesus Arnis instead.
Yeah, maybe I want to trade some modern Arnis so I can at least have some, because I'll smash some dudes with like a modern Arnis. But yo, listen, guys, I think this might be worth it.
It's a dream.
Yeah.
If it's calling to you, that's awesome.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I'm not the type to have somebody tell me that the mountain is too high that I don't even attempt the first step.
It's some.
But you consider that a challenge? So if I would say, Paulo, you can't do this.
Well, they've been saying that about Pikiti Tersha.
Okay. But this is something, ever since I went hermit mode, I've been wanting something like this in. But I knew I wasn't the guy that had that kind of pull, charisma, whatever.
It's not about that. It's just you're invested.
I would love for you to do that. I would love for this to be able to happen.
Okay, well, let me see.
Unfortunately, I've had, when Ty talks about that scarring, a lot of that is on my back.
And there's literally nothing in it for me but more freaking disappointment and more critics.
Right, exactly.
There's nothing, like, what am I going to make money from this fucking thing? There's nothing in it for me other than the fact that I love Filipino martial arts. I'm just going to get more haters. I'm just going to get more people. Who the fuck?
I would buy you an extra bottle to replace the one you used tonight.
Okay, well, that's something. Thank you, Ty. Thank you, PG.
Actually, I'd get you the Penderin, the good stuff.
Okay. Okay,
Dude,
well, you know what?
You know where Joe gets his booze from, right? He comes to Buffalo.
Joe Apostol. Joe Apostol is a great guy.
You got to come down here because he loaded up last time he was down here, so there's it's all good.
Okay, well, yeah, let's work on this. Let's see if this is even possible. I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to chase these 27 dudes down. If you have contact information, I'll send them a message. Y'all need to want this. This is your modern Arnis. This is not my modern Arnis. There's got to be enough of you who want this, enough for me to, because my willingness is there.
Okay.
If this is going to be
you already got 2 names.
Okay.
You got Kelly's and mine.
Yeah.
That's a start. Okay. I've already made my commitment to if you do it. So
I hope Datu is listening because, man, he is in a different phase in his life too. He wants the best for modern Arnis. And maybe you guys had differences in the past, but you guys both want what I cannot deny from my interaction from both of you is your love for Professor. That's the undeniable. That's the thing that's undeniable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, No, I mean it's
straight up. There's no but. That's the undeniable. You can't tell me what I observed. That's the undeniable fact. Is
the old man was very.
You guys loved him.
Yeah.
You guys loved him. So, all right. Well, yeah. Let's see what we can do, guys. I'm here. I love Philippine martial arts. Changed my life. And I want to make it clear too. There's an element of this that is for me. It's not money or anything like that. But I want to be remembered. I want to make a contribution that matters to people beyond my lifetime, and I don't want to deny that, because I think that's dishonest. So people might call it narcissistic, and people might call it self-serving. But I love the Filipino martial arts, and I want to leave my mark on it as well. So if it helps the modern Arnis community. Yeah, I'll do it. That's the thing. That's the truth.
Would you want to do this physical or virtual?
Oh, it's virtual is the way to go. We're just getting a vote.
Yeah.
We're just getting a vote. This is it. Now, if you want to have a banquet and all that shit, like that's fine, but I ain't doing that.
I think
But a vote-
you're more likely to actually get all the participation, or at least an answer, virtually, than you would actually to get people in the room. So that's actually better.
Yeah. So here's the thing: if you could imagine a Zoom screen with 27 people in it, and then I ask a question, because if you've been in a Zoom meeting, they can send messages privately to an individual. So I ask a question, they send me their vote, and I tally it up.
Yep.
Have I got a reason? Am I corruptible? Is Tim going to talk to me and be like, "Hey, for this question, make sure like I'm not. I don't really care. I want you guys to care, and I want you guys to have a vote." So it's very simple. You got the 27 members here. I ask the question, send me your vote. I tally it up. The next day, I give you guys the results, and you all have to honor it. Not that difficult.
Okay. Well,
Okay, Jeremy, I can chase some people down too.
yeah. Well, listen, if
Work
you
it
want, we got okay. When you get some time, just give us a holler. It's Ty and I probably have most, if not all, the we have most of the names.
And
We can tell you who's still alive and how to get a hold of most of the people there.
right. And I know, 27.
27.
And one I've been trying to get a hold of forever, but can't. But I know who can. So
Get it. Once we get 27, then we can have a vote.
Well, we get 27 confirmations whether they want to be part of it or not.
They can choose to forfeit their vote.
Right.
But once they know that this is what's happening, if they're going to forfeit their vote, it would be for a reason. And if one egotistical man decides not to cast his vote, it's not going to make a difference if they have 26. Right? There's not going to be 18 of us decided not to.
I abstain. Yes.
This is some Game of Thrones shit, you guys, and I think, and I would be open to what these questions are from everybody.
Cool.
And I will not be corrupted, Tim. I will not be swayed. Charming as you are,
I got booed.
I will not be swayed by any. So these questions will be given to me, and these will be voted on by the 27, and you guys will have your decision. Anybody, any of these 27 are willing, are able to ask a question that will determine the future of the But the 27 will vote as Professor Remy wanted to begin with.
Wow.
Weren't we supposed to be talking about like law enforcement stuff?
That's
You're
right.
the one that took us off topic.
Maraming salamat, Maria.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, listen.
Thank you for this.
We'll
Thank
wrap
you for
it
this.
up.
Yeah.
All right. And Paulo, thanks for popping on. Let's talk.
Bro, it's my pleasure, man.
We're gonna go see Bobby this week, and then we're both in Dallas the following weekend, and then I'm done traveling. So we want to talk after that. And then,
awesome.
Are you flying out of Buffalo or just out of Toronto?
Am I flying for what?
For things, you just fly.
I just fly out of Toronto. Unless it's on my own dime, then I fly out of Buffalo.
Well, I'm only 10, 15 minutes from the airport.
I know. I'll come with you. Actually, let me come visit you soon because there are free COVID tests that aren't time sensitive.
Okay. All right.
And I'm flexible, so I'll drive up to you.
You can stay at my house. I got. You good with dogs?
Yeah, I love dogs, but dude, I'm an hour away. Buffalo, Toronto is like an hour and a half.
Yeah, so we'll, if you want to hang out and spend the night.
Oh, okay.
Free room.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
I have multiple guest rooms. Ty uses one of them all the time.
I'll come sooner than later, bro. I mean, I'll go get a COVID test and then I'll come drive up and see what's up.
Okay, this weekend and next week. Okay, this coming weekend and next weekend. That's the only weekends I'm gone, and then I'm here the rest of the year.
Yeah, let me know for real.
I just told you, dude. I'm game.
Okay.
Okay, let me tell you this. I'll do it. Make it simple. Anytime after, I can't find my damn calendar. All right, here we go. Anytime after the 15th. Anytime you want.
Okay. Can I tell you my stipulations?
Sure.
I go home breaking even. That's it. And I'll be at your service. I'll make videos. We'll do cool shit. That's it. But I can't go on a boys trip and be, you know. So the buffalo wings are on you.
Okay.
The liquor is on you. You give me a place to sleep, and I think that's it. Those are all my expenses.
So let's go over those details when you're not drinking.
Yeah. All right, I'm down. I'm down. But yeah, guys, this has been great for me. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks for the extra chat. This was all bonus extra credit, everybody who's stuck on.
All right. Well, Paul, and then and if we should do this again, but actually have the topic tie in with what we're talking about.
Hey, I think Tim, that's a great idea. I think we should have a separate podcast all about 27.
All right. Well,
okay.
Sounds
I'm
good.
out of here, guys.
All right.
Thank
See
you
you
guys.
later, Paulo.
Yeah.
Okay. So, for those who've popped in, that was a very interesting show, and thanks for Paulo from that was awesome, and that wraps up. Are you teaching police or teaching police?
So I've come out of this is basically we're all tactical,
and
everybody teaches the police except for when it makes me look bad.
There we go.
There we go.
Hey, you know what? This show is very organic, and this should have been an hour show, and now it's 3 hours and 46 minutes. So next week's show, I don't know if my co-host will be here because we're going down to, we both do things during the day. Oh my goodness. Bobby Ladra.
There we go. Hey, Bobby.
Hey, Bobby. ¿Cómo está? There we go. So next week, so this weekend we're going down to Bobby Taboada's event. So we will be there. We'd love to see you guys there. If you're attending the event and you want to give us a holler and talk about how we're doing on the show, we'd love to get the feedback, maybe some recommendations on up and coming shows. And Bobby Taboada will be on one of the future shows. And then we're driving up, and we don't know what condition we're going to be in, but we are going to have. I will at least be here. And we will do. We're going to have some good announcements from Vulpes Training Blades. So, and those are probably those are definitely one of the best synthetic trainers I've had in my hands.
And he's another Paquiti guy.
He's a Paquiti guy. Go figure. All right. So, once again, our spot, and he also happens to be one of our sponsors.
That's true too.
Along with the Modern East University and the 65th anniversary of Modern East Camp. All right, listen, all's good there. So I'm just going to wrap this up because this has been going way too long. Another good show, just not what we expected. All right. So as always, everyone, please stay safe. Stay safe. This is Dr. Tim, and
Reach your tide. Take care.
Stay safe and stay sane. I got to find our outro.